Previously on Radio Flange Goblet's critically acclaimed radio serial, A Play for the Crowns. Jarlsgert, elder in the Church of Lathmagoch, has discovered the ancient talisman of Gabbleswort the Wise, who, being part man, part ferret, part bicycle, has been confined to the pungent pit of wafts by the evil fairy Nint, daughter of Pixie Marcus Elatong, owner of all the cheese. This casts half of the low worlds into chaos when it mystically removes all the vacuum cleaner bags from existence and causes the hilltop land of Cursor Hulp to be entirely engulfed in herring. Our hero, Fapwap the Bearded, fights on the outskirts of Raven's Teeth to hold back the oncoming dark hordes of Biddy Biddy Toolansong, which plan to infiltrate the city to buy up every last copy of Cart Maintenance and Unicorns for Beginners, a very popular work by Plebiscus Fad Daddy Dwangle, who once was held captive for 5 days in the skin cages of Plurg for exposing himself to a midget. And lastly, Den Mongnees plots to take down King Urg of Rumpgorge on the Twine by breeding a pack of fire-breathing dog squirrel beasts, but his plan has been leaked to courtier Willie Tring, who plans to tell the king of the nefarious scheme, but keeps getting interrupted to drink lots of mead, eat meat greasily and unpleasantly off vast leg bones, and to have lots of sex. Listen on. Ah, how goes it, Blethwyn, son of Goyne?
'Tis a curious time, Gag Obelmist, son of Alan. This endless darkness around the city walls caused by the black beasts of Crathmanwield, keeper of the very, very chilly place, lends a sombre air to the proceedings in court of late. King Urg seems unusually cautious and whispers often with good Lady Tabitha, her of the ample bosom.
Ah, yes, 'tis mighty ample and sadly covered up of late. In order to pad out the running time, she had that really rather gratuitous and unnecessarily prolonged topless scene a few weeks back.
I remember, in episode 3.
That's right, but nothing since then. Shame.
Still, there has been a lot of raping and decapitations.
There has been that, yes.
And you can't beat a bit of rape and decapitations, as I said.
When they're combined, it's even better.
Quite right. So what hast thou got planned for the upcoming festival of Merkenflower? Have you heard about the plot to dethrone our leader? Whose side will you take on the day of reckoning?
I'm loyal to the king. He once bought me a parrot. I loved that bird, damn it.
What happened to it, dear Garg?
It got run through with a broadsword during a particularly lively game of Hop the Pig.
Ah, yes. My Aunt Celia went the same way. But hush, that horrific poor Gerald comes this way, hither, to henceforth, etc.
Quick, pretend to be admiring the tapestry.
Hello, you two. What are you up to? Admiring the tapestry, are we? Yes, it is a very nice one, isn't it? Sewn in 1503 by Talbot the heavily ball-sacked, depicting the rise to power of the breast people of moist earth.
What do you want, Gerald? Neither me nor Garg have time for your peculiarity.
Oh, nothing. Nothing much. Nothing, really. Well, I say nothing. I do say nothing, but really I was coming down to see you to inquire if you would be joining us in the quad later this eve for the wonderful talent contest, Rumpgorge on the Twine's Got Talent and the X Factor, whatever the blithering hell that is. It's my favourite show. I attend it 3 times a week. My favourite contestant is Jared, the obviously gay. He does a great rendition of ye oldie Katy Perry's Teenage Dream.
Wait, Gerald, are you talking about that tedious load of old dross held in the courtyard where Herbert Poolstradler, Barnaby Cockmenagerie and old Uncle Pickles judge those appalling ego-fueled courtiers as they flounce and ponce about the place like ducks in a pudding?
What? Like ducks in a what?
'Tis a medieval saying.
Well, if you say so, sir, but yes, that is the show I'm referring to. I just can't get enough of it. There's one person who performs, you probably know her, Lana Lynn Turbertchild. She's quite controversial. She's overweight and not deemed to be traditionally good-looking, and yet has a really, really good voice. It's a miracle, I tell you. Her voice will clear away the dark clouds of the giants of the deathly flatulence tonight, I tell you.
Gerald.
Yes?
You're an idiot. A blithering idiot. A 24-carat platinum card-carrying, highly polished idiot of the highest order. I am sorry to interrupt, gentlemen, but do you wish there was a pill to make people like Gerald go away?
Yes.
Well, now there is. It's the exclusive after-movie diner medicine. Take one just after movie times with a meal or as your doctor instructs, and be free from mindless reality TV watching, Piers Morgan, Simon Cowell and Gordon Ramsay worshipping, cell phone obsessed Justin Bieber fanatics and other such outrageous turds. It's the After-Movie Diner podcast. Side effects include smiling, laughing, the sharing of opinions, the discussion of films, and foot tapping to the final ditty. If your erection lasts more than 4 hours, tell everyone about it on Twitter. But nobody needs to see a picture of it. All right, Senator? Cue the theme music. Hello, Castons and Castanets, to this, yet another episode of the After Movie Diner. And we have got a jam-packed, chock-full episode for you this evening. Absolutely fantastic. Coming up, we've got an interview with none other than filmmaker Jim Wynorski. That's right. We've got an interview with the director of the films we're going to be discussing this evening with Axl Kay from the Profondo Cinema podcast. Absolutely fantastic. Can't believe it. Wonderful that he could do the show. Truly honored to have, well, the independent film director for the last 30 years on the show. Absolutely fantastic. You'll be here. Me interview him in just a moment, and then Axel and I discuss the films after that, followed by, of course, as always, a song. This week's song about Orville Ketchum, so have a look out for that. The whole episode is sort of a sequel to the Halloween episode we did, all about the Sorority House and Slumber Party Massacre series last year. So if you haven't heard that, you might want to listen to that first. But if you have, you're in the right place, and we're going to roll on into this episode very, very soon. Just wanted to make a few announcements before we do. Firstly, there are just a few days left to vote for us in the TLA Cult Awards. And the address you go to is www.tlavideo.com/cult/awards/A-7. So that's www.tlavideo.com/cult-awards/A-7, or just Google TLA Cult Awards 2013. Scroll down to the bottom of the page where under Best Website, Blog, Podcast, Whatever section, click on our logo. A little yellow box will appear around, and hit the big button Vote at the bottom. You can then hit your back browser and do that all over again as many times as you like to vote for us multiple times, because as the rules say, voting is open to everyone and there is no limit on the number of votes you can cast. So we've got to all get on it this last week. We've just got a few days to make the votes count. Please go to tlavideo.com, find the awards section, scroll down, best website, blog, podcast, whatever, click on our logo, yellow box, hit vote, hit back browser, then come back and do it all again. That would be absolutely fantastic if you could do that. It would mean so much. And also, I've got a bit lazy on the show recently of announcing where you can find us all over the net. So I just wanted to make that clear for any new listeners, which I know we've had a few new listeners lately. So I just wanted to make it clear that we have a .com website, which is aftermoviediner.com, which has all the podcasts, all the blog entries, a news section that has links to the SoundCloud page where my albums are, where you can download the albums for free. It also has dedicated pages to the Don Dola independent films, and also any cons that I visit, last year's Philadelphia Comic Con, and then I'm also attending this year's as well. So that will be up there on a dedicated conventions page as well. So please check out aftermoviediner.com. You can follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/aftermoviediner, on Twitter at Aftermovie Diner. You can send us a voicemail now to www.speakpipe.com/Aftermovie Diner, or there's a widget on our website, amdpodcast.blogspot.com. There's also a widget on the Facebook page as well. So you can send us a voicemail, but if you want to just do it directly, go www.speakpipe.com/Aftermovie Diner. You don't need a phone. You can just do it all from your computer or from your mobile device. just hit the start recording and away you go. Send us a little 90-second voicemail and we'll play it here on the show and answer any questions you may have. So please do find us throughout the web. Follow us, like us, rate and review us on iTunes. That is all important. The ratings and reviews have dropped off of late, so please, if you haven't rated and reviewed us, which I know many of you haven't because we have way more listeners than have rated and reviewed us, please go to iTunes, search the podcast from the Aftermovie Diner, bring us up, rate us and review us. I don't really care what the rating is, and I don't really care what the review says. Just please do it. It would mean so much to us. That would be absolutely fantastic. Support independent creative endeavor. It is the best thing you can do. However, a lot of people have sort of said, look, I don't like iTunes. I either don't like Apple because I'm just way too hip to like Apple, or they don't like iTunes because they don't want to set up an account. They don't want to have to put their credit card details, blah, 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 blah. Well, have no fear. You can also go to our main upload site, which houses all the episodes of the podcast, which is over at www.talkshoe, like the thing you wear on your foot, .com/TC. That's like T for Top Cat kind of thing, /110745. So go to www.talkshoe.com/TC/110745, or just search the Aftermovie Diner and go there. You can rate us, you can review us, you can do all that good stuff without needing any of that information put on websites you don't want it to. So go there, rate and review us on there. There's a big community on TalkShoe. We'd love to have great stats on there as well. So please go do that. We're also on Stitcher Radio, so you can check us out on Stitcher Radio. We're also on Podbean and Podcast Pickle and the whole places around the web. Google us, Aftermovie Diner. There is lots to see. Blogs to read, podcasts to listen to, and also videos up on our Aftermovie Diner YouTube page, which is still at, I believe, www.youtube.com/omno productions, which is OMNO Productions. If you go there, you will find the Aftermovie Diner videos, the latest one of which I put up an interview that I recently saw Pam Grier give at the Lincoln Center here in New York City. I was very, very happy to have attended a 3-day Pam Grier event, which had lots and lots of highlights, some of which I have posted on our Facebook page. There is a photo album on there and links to the videos, and also some things that I told in a story over on the Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries podcast, which you can find over at dractionkickass.blogspot.com, all about the day that Pam Grier groped this man's beard, molested it really, just stuck her hands in there and had a way with my beard, in full view of everyone, including my wife. It was absolutely fantastic. Pam Grier groped my beard at a Q&A at the Lincoln Center. I can now die happy. To hear that full story, you can go over to the Dr. Action Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries podcast at dractionkickass.blogspot.com and have a listen. Also, you can join our Facebook page, take a look at the photographs, read the stories, and look at the videos. So that is a fantastic thing. I may be bringing more audio delights from that weekend to the diner, but for the moment, I'd like to keep this as much as possible a Wynorski episode in its entirety. And with all that business out of the way, we're going to run a couple of promos, and then we're going to slide on into the wonderful and gracious interview given to us by Mr. Wynorski himself. So enjoy the episode. Please comment. Please give us lots of feedback. Join the Facebook. Do all that good stuff. Support independent creative content, because really we just do it for the attention and the ego-bending love. So please go ahead, do that. Make my day.
Excuse me, what are you doing? Are you looking for porn again?
No.
Well, what is that I see?
It's not porn. It's the badassboobsandbodycounts.com website. I happen to be looking at the reviews in the boobs section of the site.
They have a section of the site dedicated to boobs?
Yes, they do. They cover exploitation films in the boobs category, action films in the badass category, and horror in the body counts category.
What's that review you're reading now?
This is Andy Sidaris' Malibu Express. See at the bottom of the review there? They list how many boobs appear in the film. In this case, minus its 22 pairs, this is definitely a film I want to see.
You mean just for boobs?
Yeah, just for boobs.
What's that other option? BB and BC podcast?
That's the great thing about the site. If you're not into reading the reviews, you can listen to them via the web, on your mobile device, through iTunes, and even Stitcher Smart Radio. And they cover the same types of films: lesser-known action, exploitation, and horror cinema. So yeah, to answer your question, I wasn't cruising porn.
That's too bad.
What's too bad?
That you weren't cruising for porn.
Why?
Because I was feeling kind of horny.
Oh, wait. Get back here. Hey, get back here.
Good evening, folks. Do you enjoy action and adventure, romance and comedy? How about long strolls on the beach and a fine champagne by moonlight? Do you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain? Or would you rather listen to some in-depth conversation about film where many timely and poignant observations and witticisms are made? Mo here from the Drunk on VHS podcast. And if you like any of those things, then I have some bad news for you. Drunk on VHS has none of these. But you should listen anyway, because I asked him nicely and said, please. Oh, wait. Please. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes exclusively at CouchCutting.com.
Bring the family. Bring your friends.
Hi, I'm John Waters. Yeah, hi, this is Dolph Lundgren.
Hi, I'm Lance Henriksen.
Hi, this is Keith Gordon.
Robert Kuhn.
Miguel Ferrer.
Nancy Allen.
Robert Davi.
Richard Elfman.
Ileana Douglas.
Patrick Warburton.
Zwingshauser.
Cliff DeYoung.
Steve Railsback.
Mr. T.
William Cash.
If you haven't been listening to the Projection Booth podcast, you're missing out. Each week, the Projection Booth brings you in-depth discussions of some of the most interesting movies ever made. I'm Mike White. No, the other one. I'm the guy who wrote the film fanzine Cashiers to Cinemart since 1994. Since early 2011, I've been co-hosting the Projection Booth podcast. Try us, won't you?
I never try anything. I just do it.
Visit the Projection Booth at projection-booth.com.
This is the Ladies of the Evil Dead, and you're listening to the After Movie Diner. Shut up.
Just wanted to start by saying thanks again ever so much for agreeing to do this. It's really great, and it'll be a nice treat for the listeners of the show, definitely.
Okay, great.
So I just wanted to ask a few questions. When you first got interested in film, was it always to make B-movies specifically? Was that always your taste?
You know, I grew up here in New York City, which is where I am now, and I was constantly loving the chiller theaters and the old Universal horror movies and the science fiction movies from the 50s that came on television in the 60s. And a lot of that fare influenced me on my way growing up.
And is that what pushed you towards Roger Corman?
Well, it's funny you should bring that up. I didn't go to see Roger Corman first off when I went to Hollywood. I thought he was unapproachable.
Right.
But I met some people who knew him, and through what I thought was a very bad circumstance, I got fired off a 20th Century Fox television show that I was working on as a location scout.
Right.
And through no fault of my own, I got the producer felt, the show was floundering the ratings, and they had to let people go. And he put me on a first-class flight back to Los Angeles from Georgia, where they were shooting. And on that flight, I met someone who knew Roger Corman, who then introduced myself to Corman. And we had a very fortuitous first meeting, and it took off from there.
And what's it like to work with? Because you hear all sorts of conflicting stories about it that it's both excellent and wonderful, and also a bit of a nightmare. What was your personal experience with him?
It's just that it's a wonderful mess.
Right.
Roger's a very smart man, and he rides by the seat of his pants, and sometimes that can change overnight. And if you're ready for it and are aware of what may come down, and not be locked into a formula, then his way of working is a very fun adventure. If you're into sometimes people get into a kind of a routine, and it was never routine working for Roger.
And is that something that you've felt that you've kept throughout your career? You like that way of working?
Yes. I mean, you have to be very malleable in the film business because it changes erratically every couple of years. Sometimes for the good, sometimes for the bad.
Yeah.
And you have to be ready to, jump without notice.
So one of the films that we're covering on the show this interview will be on is Chopping Mall, which was your second film as director, I believe?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and it's still a huge fan favorite today. So where did the idea come from for that film? What was the genesis of that?
Everybody asks me that. Here's what happened. I had made a film called Lost Empire, which Roger did not like, and it was not for him. It was for the people who owned Plitt Theaters in Los Angeles, and he didn't care for it. Even though it was shot a lot on his stages, he didn't like the movie. But his wife, Julie Corman, saw it and said, "This is fully acceptable." And she said to me, Vestron has come to me and wants to make a movie about a killer in a mall. And I said, okay. And my writing partner, Steve Mitchell, and I tossed about a whole ideas about, slashers in the mall. And we were just kind of like thinking, there's been so many slasher films in the last 5 years. How can we make this a little novel? And I went back in my memory to a movie made in the 50s by Ivan Tours, which nobody remembers, called Gog, which was a 3D science fiction movie and about a government complex in Arizona that was built 7 levels below the ground.
Right.
And it was completely computer controlled. And into that environment were 2 robots on tank treads. And I said, okay, well, why don't we take that premise and switch it to a mall that's above ground, let's say 4 stories above ground, and have it become suddenly computer controlled. And as it did in Gog, I think in Gog there's a Russian spaceship over the complex in orbit, and it sends down it overrides the computer and starts killing off people at the complex. Well, that's what happened. I have lightning strike our computer, and it goes off, and the robots go AWOL and insane and start tearing the place apart. And so, a lot of people accuse me of taking from a movie called Trapped with James Brolin, where he and a bunch of people are trapped inside a mall with vicious guard dogs that had been on as a made-for-television movie in the mid-1970s. A film I'd seen, but I had not really thought about when I was writing Chopping Mall.
Right.
We were much more concerned with doing kind of a God thing with a computer going off the rails.
Yeah. On that film, you worked with Paul Bartel and Dick Miller, who are obviously sort of well-known people who worked for Roger at that time. Do they just come along with the sort of Roger Corman package, or did you want them specifically? Or
Well, it was my first film for Roger, and I wanted to continue in the tradition of what he had done in the past.
Yeah.
So I asked Julie Corman to call Paul and Mary Warrenoff to be in it. And they ended up playing the Blands, which were for meeting Raoul. And I said, that's fantastic, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I also called Dick Miller, who, because I had loved him in the 50s and then the 60s with Roger, he came along and did his little bit. And no one has really noticed this, but in the background of the people that are asking questions from the audience in the mall is a guy named Rory Guy, who also goes under the name Angus Scrim, who had been in Phantasm.
Of course,
and also Lost Empire. So he's also amongst the guest stars. But because he's in Long Shot, not many people have recognized him.
I'll have to go back and rewatch that bit then. I didn't spot him out. I'm a big Phantasm fan, but I hadn't spotted him, no.
Well, he's in the movie. He asks one of the questions from the audience.
Oh, okay. I should have got that then. Are there any particular stories from the set that you'd like to share, the ones that sort of stick out in your memory?
There's every film has stories,
right?
Okay, and I think the big thing that we had on that show was the bad food. Okay,
right.
That's common in a lot of movies in Hollywood at low budget, but we for some reason Julie Corman had contracted to kind of a spicy Cajun kitchen or something like that. And the food was every night was like food was you didn't know what you were eating. Sometimes we called them possum patties, and other times it was like mystery meat. And her idea of dessert was putting a little dab of whipped cream in a dentist cup, and there was nothing below the whipped cream, so you would get like a little white dentist cup,
right,
with whipped cream in it. And nothing below the whipped cream, so it was just whipped cream in a dental cup. And I said, now that is what I call a dessert.
Yeah, so no one was rushing to the craft service table then on Shopping Mall.
Well, the nice thing about it is that we owned the mall for the evening. Once it closed at 9:00, we could start shooting, and we went from 9 to 8 in the morning, and it was quite an event because I wore my robe and slippers, and it was very comfortable, and there was nobody there, and it was rather spooky at lunchtime because you'd wander off and there would be nobody there. We had a couple of guards watching us, but other than that, it was empty as you could possibly imagine, and it had very kind of a creepy feel to it if you went off too far.
Yes, because how we arranged this interview is obviously through Barbara Crampton, who I've had on the show previously, and we talk occasionally on Twitter. And she described it as she was earning money, but all the shops were closed, so it was kind of frustrating at that time. Right, exactly.
She did a great job in the movie, and so did Kelly. And
I was going to ask you about Kelly. Yeah,
Kelly and I ended up going out after that show was finished because she was so cute, and we just ended up going out for a little while after that. We're still very good friends, too.
Oh, that's good to know. No, I was going to ask about Barbara, obviously, because I was interested in her being in the movie. Obviously, she's one of those icons now, those scream queens that people talk about a lot. And obviously, Kelly Maroney, who you then went on to work with quite a few films after that, as well as Hard to Die, which is the other film we're covering.
Oh my God, Hard to Die!
Yeah, we're covering Chopping Mall and Hard to Die because we'd already done Sorority House Massacre 2 on a previous episode, so I wanted to just touch on those. But just any stories about Barbara or Kelly on the set from Chopping Mall before we move on?
All I can remember is that she was very cooperative, and we had a lot of laughs on the set, and it was great camaraderie between the actors because there was no one else to talk to and no one else to wander off. It was just like if it wasn't, you weren't talking to an actor, you were talking to a crew person, and we were there for 4 weeks, and most of the time we were there after the mall was closed down. There was a theater in the mall, and we usually started to shoot before they let out. But we were shooting in all the stores, the Macy's. We were shooting in Nordstrom's, lots of a record store, pet store. We were all over the place, and the only thing that wasn't really attached to the mall was the gun shop. I think we created that gun shop in an empty store. and the paint store at the end was on a set, and we built a partial of the paint store that looked out into the mall, and then when we flipped it and went the other direction, it was a set.
Right. As I said, on a previous episode, we covered Sorority House Massacre 2. How did that come about? Just because the whole inclusion of the footage from Slumber Party Massacre 1, and sort of how did that come about, and whose idea was that? And
that was a funny. I'll just tell you how it. I can tell you exactly how it happened.
Okay.
They had been shooting a movie called Slumber Party Massacre 3, I believe. Okay, on one stage. And they were also shooting Rock and Roll High School Forever on another stage. So they had on one stage they had an attic and a basement, and on the other stage they had a house. And I knew that both shows were going to end shooting on a Friday, and I think it was Monday. And I went to Roger's wife, Julie, again, and I said, oh, no, you're talking about Hard to Die. But Sorority House, that's how Sorority House Massacre kind of started, because we had these sets, and I knew they were going to be coming available on the weekend, and I went to Julie Corman, and I said, I know you guys are going out of town, but, why don't I shoot a movie here on these sets next week? And she said, don't tell Roger, but I'll finance it. Okay?
Yeah.
And it was going to be her movie. And she didn't want Roger to know about it. So I wrote the script, which was an 80-page script in between Monday and Wednesday. I think I wrote like 30 pages a day. And I then gave it to Beverly Gray, the story editor, who read it and said, this is fun. and in the back of my head, I kind of knew I'm gonna really feature this guy Orville. And we were casting, I think Julie and Roger left on that Wednesday to go to Europe. And on Thursday, I had a huge casting session and cast the whole picture on Thursday.
Yeah.
And I even got Orville Ketchum, Peter Spellos, on Thursday. He came in. I said, you're the guy. And the following, I think it was Sunday, I think we started shooting. And we wrapped on Friday. It was a 7-day. I just remember it was a 7-day shoot.
That was the first one, the Sorority House Massacre.
Yes, it was a 7-day shoot, and it had to be finished before they got back in town. And they didn't want Roger to know that it had been made.
Oh, right, okay.
And so that we shot it in 35 millimeter in 7 days.
Wow.
And I had a blast. I had a lot of fun, and the girls were sexy and fun to be with. And Peter Spellos as Orville Ketchum was hilarious. He was adding so much. I kept adding more stuff for him to do. And we were finished by that Saturday before they came home. And then the rumors started getting back to Roger because I think someone said something that they shouldn't have said. And he finally called me at home and said, did you shoot a movie last week? And I said, yes, I did. He says, well, can I see it? I said, ask your wife. Okay. And so Julie fessed up, and Roger said, I can't believe you shot a film in a week while we were gone. I said, yes, I did. And then he said, well, I'm coming down to the studio to watch it. So he came down to the studio and watched the rough cut. It was cut by a girl named Nina Gilberti, who's now cutting Criminal Minds.
Right.
And he called me up and he said, you have to make the same movie for me. Okay. He says, I love it. Make the same movie again. And he was just finishing a movie called Corporate Affairs, which left a lot of, business offices, an elevator block, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'll do Die Hard with chicks. And he said, I love that. Okay. So I basically called the same cast back, and both films had, because I shot them in a week, had come in rather short. So I put the same sequence from the first Slumber Party Massacre into both films.
Yeah.
And I had Peter Spellos narrate it in the first one, and then the second one, in Hard to Die, I said, okay, let's just make up something totally stupid for this version of the and we were on the floor laughing when we were doing the ADR for that.
Yeah.
Because, he says, first he got Ginger, then he got Mary Ann, and then he faked right, and then we were having so much fun with that, and I think we even used the same piece of music that Chuck Serino had composed both times over that sequence.
Yeah.
And again, it was to add time, because and you cannot make a long movie in a week. You're lucky if you could make a short movie in a week.
Right.
So we needed to have 80 plus minutes. I think we do have 80 plus minutes on those pictures. So that's why we added that kind of like flashback. Right.
But it was already written into the story, or did you just do it later that you would reference Hochstetter? Or
no, I had planned for that sequence to go in the original script.
All right.
Because I said I only have a 78, 79 page script here, so I just said, okay, he's going to tell a story here. We're going to cut to some footage that we own already. And since and Slumber Party Massacre was shot non-SAG, we just chopped it up and made our own little flashback sequence.
Yeah, because it sort of weirdly now connects sort of two series of films. It sort of gives a little puzzle for people to find out, although obviously you don't use the same backstory each time. It's different from obviously...
all I can tell you is I needed to be a certain length, and I didn't care what people thought.
Yeah. No, we love it. Like, with hindsight, it's great to kind of go back and unravel it all and look at it and sort of come up with your own reasons and stuff.
And all I knew is I had to come up with 80 plus minutes for video, and we did it.
Yeah.
And I just, those films were like crazy moments. The great thing for working with Roger Corman, one of the great things was that he left you alone. You could make almost anything as long as it was entertaining. He didn't give a real rat's ass, okay? He just wanted films that didn't bore you. And I was pretty good at keeping him entertained. He would sit in the screening room, and it was like torture. If you hit a dull spot in a movie, oh my God, he'd be starting to write notes in longhand in a pad, and at the end of right after the film, he'd say, cut this, cut that, cut this. And it was great when he sat there and wasn't bored. Those films were meant to be entertaining from frame one, and I had no money. We didn't on the first one. We didn't even have props. We had only what was sitting in the studio, prop room. They had taken all the furniture away because it was rented. And they took it all out. So I came up with the idea, okay, they're waiting for the furniture in the morning.
Right.
I mean, they're just moving into this empty sorority house, and so we just culled whatever, people brought bedrolls from home and stuff like that. We had literally nothing and lamps. We were on a set that had been just, kind of just taken apart a couple of days before. And they only left the walls standing. And I had a good guy named Richard, somebody, I forgot his last name. Now it's 20 years. But he was a really good prop guy, and he would scour the lot and find whatever he could to make it look better.
Well, yeah, because you always had that. I laughed in the first one, I think Sorority House Massacre 2, was that bit clearly where there was that moment in the film where you thought, okay, we've got to do something else, and all the girls run outside, and then you contrive for it to be raining the moment, so they're not only in their 90s, but then they get all wet. That was kind of perfect.
That was intentional.
Of course,
that was intentional. I said, in the script they were supposed to run outside, and it was raining, and it was just a bunch of hoses, but it worked. It did the trick. It kept them inside.
Right, but no. It was also just it was a good laugh moment as well in the best possible way.
I think I did. And Hard to Die, I had the sprinklers go off at one point.
Yes, so exactly. Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. I do like the fact that you have it's quite right, like that entertainment thing where, and it's completely maybe male and whatever, but it's fantastic that you have that thing where it's like, well, okay, we've got to contrive to get them in underwear, then we've got to contrive to get them wet, then we've got to contrive to get them covered in blood, or carry a machine gun. It's just it's really great the way you put that together. It's fun. It's enjoyable.
I always throw a little. I say, fuck logic.
Yeah.
Let's go have some fun, okay? And it's quite improbable to have a gun company on the 27th floor of a high-rise building, but it's there. It is.
Yeah.
And Acme Lingerie was the name of the company, and they had to go downstairs where the sprinklers went off. And I was just having fun.
Yeah.
I said, I can get these people in their 90s, and I can get them wet, and then I'll get them covered with blood. And both films were very successful on home video.
Yeah.
That I can tell you. The first, even though they were not related in any sort of sense, they are. People have found them, found them together, and put them together as a couple. So that was nice.
Yeah, because the first Sorority House Massacre really has nothing to do with the other kind of 2 or 3 films in the series. So,
is there a Sorority House Massacre 3? I don't even know. I don't think so.
No, there isn't. No, Hard to Die is called unofficially. It's one of the also known as names is Sorority House Massacre 3.
Oh, okay, good.
And
good.
I hear it's also called. Is it something 92? Nightmare 92 or something?
It was originally, at one point it was called Nighty Nightmare.
Nighty Nightmare, that's it, yeah.
And then in other times it was called Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
I think I have a poster from some foreign country where all the girls are on the roof, and it's called Tower of Terror. But it's a rose by any other name, as they say.
Of course, no, and it's actually clever because the whole idea of the Orville Ketchum character with he's the red herring who's beat up throughout the film, sort of poking fun at the whole idea of an undead killer. Yet, obviously, the second one you've called Hard to Die, which is obviously also a reference to Die Hard, but it's also a reference to Orville Ketchum, so it kind of all ties in.
Orville Ketchum he's indestructible.
Yeah.
I mean, and the first one I had him shot a lot and stabbed and stuff like that. And of course he's still alive. I'll tell you another funny story about Sorority House Massacre. It was supposed to end after Orville kills Melissa Moore, and everybody was supposed to fall on the floor, and then they were all found, kind of, except for Gail, all found dead in the morning. Okay. And, I was there and I had time during that day. I said, let's just keep this going. So even on the original script, I just have them have, I said, oh, okay, the cops will come in. But then I said, okay, let's keep it going. Let's have Gail get up and be the new Hochstetter, and then have Pete get up and get her, and then they can shoot her, and then they can shoot Pete, and he can still be alive, and that's the way it ended, even though that was never scripted.
It's the best last line for a not scripted ending. It's the best last line when the cops come in and they go, "This one's still alive."
Call an ambulance. This man is still alive. And I think I have him come out at the end. He's in a wheelchair or something with a chick. So.
Yeah, with the large-breasted nurse who comes out of the hospital with him. Yeah.
So it's you got to have fun with these movies. You have to have fun.
Yeah.
And we were hysterical when we were making it. At least I was. I was just. Peter Spells is a comedian. Okay, yeah. And we were both hysterical when we make it. And when I told him, I said, we're just going to go do it again, he started howling. And we did it again.
Yeah. Well, the sequel's even funnier because the long period of time where he could call out and say to the girls, no, I'm trying to help. There's long periods where he could do that, but he just doesn't. He lumbers forward to them like a zombie and then gets killed again or stabbed again or pushed off a roof, which is tremendous.
My favorite scene, I think, in that film is when he when he falls off the roof, and I did an optical shake of the camera like it was a cartoon.
Yeah.
And I like a anytime anybody falls in a Hanna-Barbera cartoon, they shake the frame.
Yeah.
And I told my optical guys, when he falls off, give me a Hanna-Barbera shake. And they did, and it was like perfect.
Well, that brings up a good subject of sound effects, because the other guy I'm doing the show with, who's from another podcast, he told me that I had to ask you this question about, was it your genius idea to make the breasts, ass, and thighs squeak during both films?
Yes, of course. I said get a balloon. Get a balloon and squeak them, man. Just make them like they're balloons.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a boob man. I admit it.
Of course.
But I said I want those effects in there. I want those funny effects. And I overdid the sound effects wherever I could in those movies. I mean, I think he throws somebody down an elevator and then you hear a whistle. I said, when he dumps her down the elevator shaft, you actually hear a whistle. And I said, I want that. Definitely. I said, I want that, you know, cartoon sound effects. And the guy gave them to me, and they did it. They were great. And I told him, I said, make the gunshot sound real and dangerous. And he did that as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fantastic. It sort of reaches its own, with hindsight, and of course, looking back at the films now, it kind of reaches its own level of, you know, creativity and art to a certain extent. You know what I mean? Like I
would say it reaches a new height of ridiculousness, but that's what I was going for. I didn't want this wasn't real.
Right.
And Corman, when he saw Hard to Die, he was hysterical.
Good.
He said he turned to me and said, you've created a character, okay? And because the fact that Orville never died, no matter how much he got shot, was something Corman himself enjoyed.
Yeah,
because he said it's unlike anything that's come before or after. So
yeah, it's like the Michael Myers thing or the Jason thing or whatever. They just are never ever killed. And although Orville's not a bad guy, it's kind of a parody on that, right?
Right, it is. It was supposed to be a parody of those guys that you can't kill. But the fact that he was a good guy and just slow was and looked menacing was the whole bottom line. It was like, here he is. This is obviously, but he looks like the killer. He must be the killer. Let's get him.
Yeah, and kept other people's keychains in his pants. That was the other thing he did.
Oh, I did that gag twice. That gag worked so well in the first one, I put it in the second one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
You're gonna if you're going down there, you're gonna be needing this. Some of the gags I did them twice because I said, you know, they were funny the first time, they're going to be funny the second. Sort of like a running gag with the guy.
Definitely. And did Corman ever kind of say, hey, why don't we make a whole like Orville Ketchum thing and like do another one? Or
I didn't want to do another one.
Okay.
I tell you, you know, they approached me like 3 or 4 years later to do another one, and I said, you know, that I think the time has passed for those movies, and because in the later part of the 90s, everybody was doing these big mechanical Air Force, Navy, stealth fighter type movies, and I had to follow suit to stay in business, okay? And I said, I don't think an Orville movie at this point is going to do anything. So
I was going to say, have you ever thought about putting the character like in other films, just in the background?
I did recently. I did an erotic film for Cinemax, and I think it was called, hold on, Sexy Wives Sensations or Sexy Wives Syndrome. And I brought Peter back to play Orville because he still had the plaid shirt in the jeans. He said he keeps it in his closet like Superman's costume. Okay, and he refused to get rid of it. So I said, put it on and come on back and do a day. So I have him. I don't say it's Orville. I just say it's just him, and he's doing something in this erotic movie. And I just did it for laughs. I think if anybody remembers those films, they're going to get a laugh when they see it. If not, he's just a weird guy in the bushes.
That's fantastic. I'll have to track that down on Cinemax then one evening just for that bit. And obviously you had Gail Harris. Like, Gail Harris is from England, I'm right? She's from up north. She's got some weird northern accent.
Yes. I've known Gail from the 80s.
Right.
And you can't get a cuter girl than Gail Harris back in the day.
Yeah.
Okay? And she was going through a very... I think when he did Hard to Die, she had just had a miscarriage or something like that. She was very depressed, and she was married to a guy that's long gone. And I just said, "Hey, Gail, come on down, be the lead here in this movie." And it was a big. It drew her out of her funk.
Yeah.
And she wears those little nighties like nobody else does. So I had Melissa Moore. I had oh God, I forgot her name. The girl who plays the bad girl in Hard to Die. She was Jack Nicholson's girlfriend for a while. Got a lot of mileage out of that. And I think I had Bridget Carney.
There's Karen Mayo Chandler.
Deborah Dutch was in that too.
Oh, okay, Deborah Dutch, yeah. No, they're great. They're both great films. We enjoyed them a lot watching them. And I was going to say, what was the other thing I had? Oh yeah, so just to wrap it up then, basically. But sort of, what's the favourite aspect of what you do, and what is it about making movies, no matter sort of what they are or in what conditions, that keeps you going?
Well, I like creating. I like creating, creature movies, erotic movies, Western movies, kids movies. No matter what I'm doing, I'm trying to throw my own sense of humor at it, which is tougher these days because of all the restrictions that they put upon you. But I would say my erotics today are the places where I have the least confrontation with producers. I can do almost anything, and a lot of my sense of humor goes into those. Whereas my bigger Sci-Fi Channel pictures, I have to be very, very careful about what I do, and it's always a big push-pull thing with the producers.
Yeah.
And but I usually get my way, and I like what I put together. I had two movies on Sci-Fi Channel last year. Piranha and Camel Spiders. And I think I've got one coming up very shortly called The Giant Gila Monster. And I enjoy what I do. It's like I've been doing it for 30 years and I'm not tired of it yet.
Yeah.
So, because each new film is a challenge, and you get to work with some fun people, and at the end of the day, you create something that entertains people, hopefully.
Yeah, because that was my last question, is sort of, what is your feeling about the future of sort of independent and B-movie productions? Because obviously with podcasts and blogs and other websites and things like that, there's not only a fascination for the 80s and 90s video stuff that you did and Corman did and other people, but also these Sci-Fi Channel films, which are, big on the internet. The more ludicrous the concept, the giant octopus versus the mutated shark.
Well, all it is, Sci-Fi Channel is the drive-in of today.
Yeah.
Okay, and those films draw people in to watch them, and that's what they did in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. It's just a different form of delivery, and I'm going to be a part of it till, I don't think the feeling will ever go away.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy what I do. I mean, Corman's in his 80s. He's still doing these things.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because he did, what was it, Sharktopus for the Sci-Fi Channel, was it? And
yeah, he did Sharktopus, and I think later on this year I'll be doing Cobra Gator for him.
Cool.
So that's what's happening, and I'm starting another movie on the 15th of April. Actually, 2 movies. I'm going to do 2 more for HBO Cinemax.
Yeah.
And that's what's doing.
Excellent. Because do you guys in the industry, do you feel that there's sort of a boom at the moment of interest within sort of B movies and stuff like that, or is it just business as usual? And
it's business as usual. I'll tell you what happens is every 2 years, the things flip flop. Something changes.
Right.
Okay. I mean, there's always that harbinger of doom in the near future. And I saw it in the mid '90s. I saw it at 2001. I saw it 2007. There's always that guy says, "Oh, we're never going to survive." But it just seems to happen that people do survive, and the only way to survive is to keep making new films that entertain. Okay, a lot of people are making these $20,000 or less films in their backyard that never get seen by anybody except maybe at a convention, and I wish those people luck, because one of them might actually do something entertaining and it would be successful. But there's competition, and I've always enjoyed competition. It gives me a chance to really just try to shine.
Yeah.
So.
Well, look, thank you ever so much for talking to us today, Jim. It's been great.
Give me a heads up when it's going to be on, and sure. I'll take a listen, because it sounds like it could be fun.
Thank you very much, sir. You're a legend. Thank you very much, and thanks for all your movies.
All right, thank you. Bye now.
Bye now.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you're listening to the After Movie Diner podcast. Now drop and give me 20.
This week, it's a bit of a sequel, if you like, to my Halloween episode from last year. It's a follow-on from the wonderful Slumber Party Massacre and Sorority House Massacre. And if you remember last time on that show, we said that we would have Axl back to discuss a couple of other Jim Wynorski joints. So here he is, Mr. Axel K from the wonderful and still going strong Profondo Cinema podcast. Say hello, sir.
How art thou?
I'm very good. And yourself?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again. And yes, it's happy to take in a couple more Wynorski flicks, especially, I think I discovered his existence in the last show we did. So
sure. And he's got a rich history, a rich career, and actually watching, because I watched Popatopoulos, the documentary, pseudo documentary about him. It's really about the making of one particular movie with a couple of talking heads in between it. And I also watched again Corman's World, which he's not in, but obviously him and Corman are kind of forever linked.
Yeah, it's amazing how many careers, spanning the decades that Corman has touched, Yeah. I mean, everything from the Coppolas and De Niro's and of the world to the Wynorskis.
Yeah, indeed. Who are, and in his own way, it's funny when someone as prolific as Wynorski is doing all the different. I know he uses a lot of pseudonyms and stuff, but I suppose it is funny that he's not mentioned more in B-movie circles. It's interesting to see, since the sort of rise of the internet and all the different things that people talk about and all the different things they latch on to, that I think Chopping Mall is certainly consistently referenced. I think Chopping Mall is sort of got that cult status of something like an Evil Dead or a Reanimator or whatever. But him as a director, I know there are some, my buddy Mo and a couple of others, who are really sort of into his stuff and know all about everything to do with him and his different names that he uses and all the different films he does under those names and things like that. But
well, if you in the horror genre, a lot of not many directors have a solid track record. And just looking up and down his filmography, I mean, he's borderline qualified for a Masters of Horror episode. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, he doesn't quite have the peaks or valleys, though, that he doesn't really have that one big title. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, the Chopping Mall is probably the closest he comes to.
But Return of Swamp Thing, I think that actually had a big budget and a decent push.
For the longest time, that was more available, like in the video shops and stuff that I would hang out with. Return of was more available than the original, than the Wes Craven original.
Right.
Because I'm not sure that the original got re-released again until maybe like either very late VHS or sort of early DVD, maybe.
But yeah, Chopping Mall, that was it was strange. It was always in the video store, and it was always a title that made you kind of chuckle inwardly. And then, for whatever reason, I didn't end up checking that one out till adulthood. But it's definitely a title, I'd come across many times.
Yeah, definitely. It was one that I knew about. Well, it eventually, because it wasn't out for the longest time, was it? And then it came out on that. You talked about it on your show. The Walmart. It was originally only Walmart distributed. That horror movie 8.
Yeah, there's an 8-pack, and actually, that one had a couple of titles that were kind of, I guess, had been on the back burner as far as coming. They just never come out on DVD before. Gosh, I'm struggling. I wish I had it in front of me, but
it had Slaughter High on it. It had is it Class of 1999? It had on it.
I'm trying to think of the rare one though that hadn't been. Was it not
Chopping
Killer?
Mall on it. Ghoulies 3, I think it had on it as well.
Yeah, it wasn't Killer Party. It was what's the one? Blood Diner, I think, was on one of them.
Oh, okay. No, Killer Party came out under the Warner Archives label because I have that.
Yeah, you're right.
On a print-on-demand type deal.
Yeah, it was Blood Diner. And, those, I actually bought a couple of copies of that and ended up selling them for around, I paid $5, sold them for about $15, $16 a piece.
Which is crazy, because they're now, I know they were Walmart only to begin with, now you can buy them in my local Best Buy. My local Best Buy has handfuls of them, of like the 6 and the 8 and a whole bunch of others by the same releasing company besides. So I just picked mine up there for like $5 or something.
Yeah. It's amazing. People have no patience.
Right.
And, and sometimes, I know you're in a massive city. I'm in a moderately to small size town, but, we have a couple of malls, Yeah. And, I guess we take it for granted, but people out in these one Walmart or, God forbid, no Walmart towns, they're kind of at the mercy of eBay or Amazon resale if they have no patience.
Yeah, completely. I just don't have that kind of money to kind of say, I'm going to go on eBay and spend $20 on something. I'll just wait till it shows up on Netflix or one of them now, because really I can't afford to be doing the $30, $50, I can't, that's just, especially considering that they're saying that all these formats are going out anyway.
I don't know anybody that pays, who is it that's paying these prices, these inflated prices, paying $100. I sold 2 copies of Night of the Living Dead Remake for $75 each.
What?
That's
insane.
Who are these people? And you would think anyone willing to pay $75 for a film would be hip enough to have realized there was a pre-order going on.
Sure, right.
Where they were normal priced. I mean, it's crazy to me that many people miss the boat and then are that crazy about a film to pay that much money for it.
Well, there's been a couple of those. I mean, I'm a big fan of those documentaries. One of them was Machete Maidens Unleashed, which I've mentioned a ton of times because I've covered a lot of the Philippine movies that were on that documentary. And the other one was Not Quite Hollywood, which is about Ozploitation of all the movies.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, it's a great one. But what I like to do, and what frustrates me the most about those documentaries, is the moment it's over. Because while I watch them or I rewatch them the second time, I'm making lists. Okay, I'd like to see that one, I'd like to see that one, I'd like to see that one. And, I often go onto Amazon or eBay or YouTube or Netflix or somewhere to try and see if these films are out there. And with that one, it is a prime example of where they're selling the VHS on
Amazon for like $75 or more, upwards of $75. Like I saw one that was there was one movie I think that was part of that exploitation thing that was, you know, hundreds of bucks, and then I came across on like VHS or something, and then I came across there's 3 box sets that were released in Australia alone, which have all these movies on. It's called like the Exploitation box set. Now they're $60 if you want to have them imported, and there's like 5 or 6 movies on each one. And I haven't done that yet, but I find it a bit odd that they would already be available in Australia. So why like re-release them as like big box specials in Australia? Yet the documentary has gone out worldwide. Those 3 Exploitation box sets really at some point need to be made available in the US, you know. So
did you, kind of a sidebar, did you ever check out Mad Dog Morgan?
I didn't know. I couldn't find it. That was one of the ones that I had on my list.
There's a DVD release that was, I want to say it was actually put out by Troma, but it was actually widescreen and uncut and had some extras and interviews with, I believe, Hopper's on there. And I just never got out there, and I think it can be had for maybe $15 or so. But
yeah, well, they also put a lot of their stuff on YouTube. Troma did, so maybe it's on there. I didn't actually check that one directly.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, go to the IMDb page of Mad Dog Morgan. I remember we did a show on it. It's probably 2 years ago now. But I remember at the time going on the IMDb page, and there was a link in the videos there to the full uncut film.
Yeah, maybe that'll be on there then. I'll have to have a look. I mean, I got a list together, and I was really just browsing Amazon, and I was surprised to see how few had been released off the back of that documentary. And I don't know, you'd think some releasing house somewhere would just be like, hey, let's get these out. This is like a free, you know, considering that Not Quite Hollywood's been on Netflix for years, or since it came out. It's like a free advertisement for all these awesome movies. Right. I don't really understand. So I just sit on them and I just go, you know what? One day they'll come along. I remember the other one that we did The Exterminator, the Robert Ginty movie from the 70s on one of our shows, and like everyone was saying about Exterminator 2, because it's actually the one where he does have a flamethrower in the mask, as opposed to the front cover of Exterminator, which shows that, but he never actually uses it in the movie. And I was interested, just sort of in the back of my mind, to check out Exterminator 2, just because I like those kind of movies. And, you know, you, again, go on Amazon, it's over $70, blah, 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 blah. While I waited on it, it's being released as part of, not just a one movie, but it's being released as part of a 4-pack this year, and the 4-pack is going for $7.99. So I just sit on it, and then so I pre-ordered the 4-pack, because that's coming out. It's got like a Busey movie on there, and some other fucking crazy shit from the 80s. So should be good, should be good.
So shopping mall.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk. Yeah, sorry, there was a roundabout way to get back to Mr. Wynorski.
A subtle segue there.
Because I had to. Hard to Die was from a beat.
Oh, that's right. Sorry,
we're
doing Hard to Die first.
Yeah, but I thought we'd do Hard to Die first because it's the unofficial sequel to Sorority House Massacre 2. Which
and am I looking at this right? Was it made the same year?
It was made back to back. Yeah.
A madman has sealed off a Los Angeles high-rise.
Who's there? Hey, the phone's dead.
Now, 5 young women are joining forces and fighting for their lives.
Look, it's 3 against 1. The odds are in our favor. Maybe I can increase those odds. Eat lead, you son of a bitch!
So So yeah, Hard to Die, it is made the same year as Sorority House Massacre 2. It's an unofficial sequel. It's called Hard to Die because the original idea was, as Jim Wynorski was saying in the interview, was a sort of Die Hard but with females. It references our favourite character, Orville Ketchum, and the fact that these plucky women just cannot kill him.
Yeah, Hard to Die. Yeah, you'd never know it was trying to be a playoff of Die Hard.
Right, exactly.
A name like that. It's very clever.
But I liked it because
well
at least...
played.
Yeah, well played, Mr. Wynorski. But at least it's played as a double meaning. At least it's got that double meaning. It's not just... which I like a lot. I do like that a lot. And so I say, so Hard to Die was for a time there available on YouTube, but currently has not been released and is in fact off YouTube again. And
actually, this is another one that's going for big money.
Yeah, this was another one. This sort of ties into what we were saying beforehand, because it's on VHS, which is where I finally got to see it because my friend Mo had the VHS. But yeah, on Amazon, it's all sorts of price on there. It's really expensive. Mm-hmm. But no, this one is... I think this one and Sorority House Massacre 2, I think, put together on one of those Shout Factory box sets with a Wynorski commentary and maybe a little bit of an interview with Corman and the Cormans would be, I think, a worthwhile pack, as worthwhile as the Slumber Party Massacre releases. What do you think?
Well, maybe they could, release an updated set like that other release for the Slumber Party, the 3-film set with extras and commentaries and such. It'd be a nice set.
But do it for the Sorority House ones instead.
And yeah, with this one being the third.
Right.
Which, I mean, it's strange. It's not the same film at all, but it's the same film.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind it, for anyone who's heard the previous episode, the idea behind it very simply is that just like there was a bunch of girls in a house and Orville Ketchum, the red herring, keeps stumbling into rooms, they think he's the killer, so they try and bump him off, Michael Myers style or Jason style, but he isn't. He's trying to help them as a sort of slapstick horror idea. That is rife throughout this one as well. The twist in this one, if you like, the ingenious twist of this one is that they're in a high-rise office building. They all work for the Acme Lingerie Company, I believe it's called. And, of course, this necessitates them, after they've been in the office 3 minutes, of stripping down into their undies and trying on other undies that are
come
just
on.
lying around.
They got dirty while doing inventory in the basement.
Yeah, that's what happened. Right, because unfortunately, even though Acme is on the 15th floor, whatever it was, 11th floor, I think, they had to go all the way down into the basement to get the boxes. There's then a long sequence where they're all like, we should put all the boxes together that have Acme written on them. And you sort of see a little montage of that.
Well, actually, Ketchum, it's lucky he's around because turns out he's actually a Hochstadter tracker.
Mm-hmm.
So, he's kind of like the Lone Wolf McQuaid of the film.
Yeah, I could honestly see Orville Ketchum versus Hochstadter in any number of forums that Wynorski would think to put him in. I mean, I really want him to do more now at this stage. Apparently, Peter Spellos does still have the costume, so he could pull it out at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that was a weird thing, because just looking at it, mainly because of the way Robin Harris looked, I just assumed that this was, 3 or 4 years down the line at least, and, to find out it was made in the same year, it's like, well, no wonder, Ketchum looks exactly the same. It's like, how did they pull this off, to where he looks just like he did in the other movie,
I don't imagine that he took the outfit off. I imagine that they finished it on a Tuesday, and then the following Friday he just slept in that outfit for the week. And
of course he also gives us a flashback once again. And is it the identical flashback scene?
No, it's a completely different I mean, it's not a completely different story, but it's certainly not the same story as before.
I'm talking about just the clips that they're showing. Is it the exact same sequence of clips? Just put the different words?
Yeah, I mean, quite possibly. It's the first flashback certainly started with the guy being under the blanket on the floor, and this one does as well. So, yeah, it might be exactly the same sequence of shots, just with a slight tweak on the story this time.
Yeah, I don't remember what they said and what he said in this one, but I remember in part 2 it was like, he was down, but not out.
It is tremendous, and it's nice to know. I mean, obviously, all of this humor that we found from the film was completely intentional. They were just having a ball making it.
Well, we didn't mention that. Well, Robin Harris, I guess she was the lead of Sorority House Massacre 2. She returns for this, as well as the woman who ended up being the host for the Spirit of Hochstatter.
Yeah,
she returns in this one as well, but the rest of the women are all new blood, and the rest of the cast is new blood except for Ketchum, and we also get the guy and lady detective.
Yeah,
the same one from the one that got blocked by the. What was it? The bridge is down, so we got to go to the strip bar.
We got to go all the way around the town, yeah.
Wait this thing out.
Yeah, exactly. They came back. I'm glad you noticed that. But yes, I think it's Melissa Moore. She's the blonde who's in the beginning of this, and is the other one that comes back from Sorority House Massacre 2. And then I think the rest of the cast is sort of filled out with willing either B-movie actresses or softcore movie actresses, I think, or a bit of both.
You know, and if you've seen and are very familiar with Sorority House Massacre 2, there does reach a point, maybe about 45 minutes in. You know, it all seems so familiar, and it does get a little tired. But never fear, they decide to take showers.
Yes. Well, this is what's fantastic about a Wynorski picture. Just when things are, it's like in a Sorority House Massacre 2. You know, he contrives them to run outside, and then they're not just outside in their nighties, but the rain happens.
Exactly.
You know? And in this one, the sprinkler system goes off, right? Doesn't that happen in this one?
No, they all take showers.
Yeah.
Then they all put on lingerie. Then they all go back to the basement where the sprinklers are set off.
Yeah.
At which, so that sets them running around, prancing about in saturated lingerie through, for the remainder of the film.
And the shower sequence is elongated. We almost get every single woman. I don't think we get quite everyone, but we get at least 3 or 4 of the main women.
We get them all except for the one that ends up being the host for Hochstatter's Spirit in this film. And that was one nice little element. I mean, I was genuinely surprised when the woman from the last film who was the host gets offed in this one, because I was like, oh, well, I guess she's not Hochstatter anymore.
Well, they're not supposed to be the same characters, are they? They're called different things.
No. Well, except for Ketchum.
Apart from Ketchum. He's the same, but at never point does he say, you all look familiar. No, he doesn't say that at any point.
But the second chick who's taking the shower, she has, it's pretty amazing the way she does this. She has, from shot to shot, she's got disappearing panties.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
Well, because this is a classy picture. When we take from the top up shots and showers, we just ask the lady to roll down their panties a little bit.
Sure.
This is a classy film. But yeah, then we go to the ass shot. There's no panties showing on us.
Of course,
that was pretty.
But it's interesting because this was made back in 1990, and obviously I watched Popatopoulos, which I would suggest people go see, because there is, hopefully with this and the interview on this show and the documentary and some other stuff, people will be interested to check out more of Wynorski's stuff. There is some good stuff in Popatopoulos. I found the sort of making of the sort of softcore horror thing, Witches of Brestwick, that they're making in 3 days. Interesting in terms of making a film in 3 days. Like, that's what he's trying to do. But, obviously because of the tension that comes along with that and some of the actresses and things in that shoot and some of the things they're saying, it gets a little grating watching that documentary because
you sort of say to yourself, well, hang on a second, if you've agreed to be in this film and you know it's going to be made in 3 days, you've been in other films, you've got to understand the pressure and stress that you know what I mean, that's going to put on you, and you've just got to kind of roll with the punches. And one of the people in the film in particular seemed to not be rolling with the punches all that easily, and I thought, like, there was part of me that was a bit like, okay, all right, we understand it's difficult and you're being exploited to some extent, and, you know, you want to think this of yourself and whatever, but at a certain point you want to kind of say, all right, just get on with it. And there was a scene in that documentary where this woman in question, who's lovely, I'm not knocking or whatever, I'm sure outside of, you know, the titty flick she's been forced to do, she's lovely and wonderful, I'm not knocking her or whatever, but in this one particular scene, she's having a sex scene with a guy, and she refuses to take off her panties in the sex scene. And it's a bit ludicrous. And Jim thinks so too. And so maybe it was a little case of that. I don't know. Maybe it's something he's faced a lot, where he's just like, you've gone this far. Will you not take off the knickers? You know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have an ass close up in 10 minutes. Can you drop trowel? Yeah, I promise not to pan down.
Well, at least his pans are more fluid and successful than the pan in Slumber Party Party Massacre 1.
Yeah,
down
I
to
agree
the
with that.
unsavory buttocks in that one.
Hey, I did write down that you mentioned his name earlier. The actor that plays Orville Ketchum, he really gives some great face.
Oh yes, definitely.
I mean, he really. I mean, you know. All things set aside, this guy is he does have character.
By the bucket load.
He's kind of got like a I'm forgetting his name, the guy that plays Maniac, and he's in Rocky and The Godfather.
Oh, Joe Spinell.
Spinell, yeah, he's got a little bit of a Spinell vibe.
Yeah, if Spinell had, I don't know it. Yeah, if Spinell was like puffing out his face or something, because Spinell's face always looks like I don't know, like something that's had the air pulled out of it. While his body is quite big, Spinell's face always looks a bit sort of shambolic and like a deflated puppet or something. But I love Spinell. I love Joe Spinell. But
oh yeah, he's great.
He's great. But yeah, I mean, I suppose Peter Spellos is like your budget Spinell. I could go for that.
Poor man Spinell.
Poor man Spinell. I mean, you know, a happy poor man Spinell. But
in one of the kill scenes down, and I believe it was in the basement, we got a nice like bucket of blood just thrown upon a wall.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, you can't get out of a Wynorski flick without lighting an Asian on fire.
No, true. You have to do that. That's part of it. He has that written into his contract. He's like, Roger, I'll make any film you want, but I have to light an Asian on fire.
Exactly.
What did you think of the sleazy boss at the beginning, who's been having sex with the woman who would eventually become the Hochstetter?
I like where they were trying to go. Just the ponytailed douchebag, corporate douchebag, but
he really was, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't have much of an impact on the film. I mean, I would have liked something more over the top, maybe a Cuban in the vein of Scarface or something.
But
sell it, go for it.
You want a poor man's Pacino to come in?
Yeah, Ronnie Silver would have been perfect for the role.
Yes, that would have been great. Or you could have had Richard Lynch. You could have had him in the role.
Exactly.
Although he would be a bit old to have had that one over the desk. I don't know, but this guy was all kinds of Seagal ponytail, waxed back hair.
I wanted to love him. I wanted to laugh. Just
What about
it just wasn't there.
What about the old dude who knew all about the mystical box?
Oh, that was Forrest J. Ackerman.
Yes, it was. Yeah, Forrest J. Ackerman, indeed.
Who, I don't know if that was a reach around or a favor or some payback or something. But yeah, and whenever I see a lot of scenes of someone on the opposite end of a phone, I'm always curious, or I always suspect that maybe that was cut in an angle that was cut in as filler. You know what I mean? Because most of his scenes were just him sitting behind a desk on a phone.
Right. I mean, it was probably just to punch up the whole, like, because they get this box that's a mistaken delivery to the Acme lingerie company, and breaking the law, because you're not meant to open other people's mail, they open it anyway, and then when they get it, and it's some weird Egyptian box, to further it, further add insult to injury, one of the women comes over and goes, "Oh, I know how to open this," pulls it open, of course, unleashing the spirit of Hochstetter. How it got in the box after the end of part 2, we'll never know. But it's in this box.
Actually, you remember at the end of part 2, Robin Harris had the spirit.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I
forgot about that.
I guess Roger Corman wanted something individual to distribute that wasn't tied to this other series. Or maybe he couldn't have it tied to that other series. I don't know. So I imagine that's where the whole box and, subplot with Forrest J. Ackerman giving us our exposition. Because, as wonderful as it is to have, breasts, guns, lingerie, setting aliens on fire.
Oh, Jesus, guns. What about the gunfight at the end where just nobody's hitting shit? Nobody's hitting, we've got like AK-47s and M16s with multiple clips, and nobody can hit the broadside of a barn.
Right. They don't seem to have a lot of squibs, so it's literally all done with sound, the sound of like a machine gun, whatever.
Right.
Coupled with then a reverse shot of whoever's being hit, kind of just waving their arms around. It's kind of gloriously like Edward Jr. kind of thing.
Yeah, and of course, and there was kind of like a flash forward of that at the beginning of the film with her like, no, not anymore.
Yeah, which I think had some flashes put on it. I seem to remember the clip at the very beginning, she's in total darkness and then she's lit up by the flashes on the guns. But later when they're firing at Ketchum and at the other women, there doesn't seem to be like muzzle flare. Maybe a couple of times, but not hugely.
Did you catch at the end of the credits where it said, coming soon, Orville in orbit?
No, I didn't see that. Oh, damn it, I missed a gag at the end of it. You see, I wish he'd gone on to do it. I wish he'd gone on to make 100 Ketchum movies. Seriously. I mean, not necessarily always have him just sort of stumbling into scenes and then getting brutalized, but at some point given Ketchum a backstory and a bit of an anti-hero thing or whatever,
Or he could just be... he could be a constant cameo candidate in like, just kind of tongue-in-cheek B horror.
Sure. I don't know why more people haven't used the Ketchum character, or he has cropped up in one other movie, but I'll leave you to hear all about that in the interview. Ketchum or Peter Spellos could have been utilized throughout the decades, and maybe he will be yet. Maybe this show will spur Jim and Peter and Roger Corman and stuff to get back into the Ketchum game.
Yeah, we'll rekindle that flame.
Rekindle the beautiful Ketchum. So what happens to him in this movie? The most notable and the best bit is him being pushed off the roof. That's phenomenal.
No, I like him stapling the bandages to his torso.
That's pretty awesome. He gets stabbed by a receipt spike, doesn't he? One of those paper spikes, whatever they're called.
Or was it a letter opener?
No, because I think it has some receipts and a wooden base to it that sticks out of his shirt for the remainder of the movie.
I mean, it just... he gets his ass handed to him for probably 20 minutes straight.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say, I've got an idea. When did Home Alone come out?
Probably 89.
No, Home Alone was 90.
90?
Who would... I don't know. Maybe Chris Columbus and John Hughes were hanging around the Hard to Die set. Okay, chubby guy in woolen shirt getting beaten up. Maybe there's an idea there. I don't know. What was it about 1990 that we wanted to beat up schlubby guy? That's what it was all about. So no, I liked him being stabbed with the paper spike. I liked him being pushed off the roof and the resulting camera shake from that. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that was ridiculous.
I loved the multiple showering with the continual squeaky appendages. That was fun. I liked...
There was even once in the basement where one of the girls was talking to the other girls, and she pinched her breast or lifted up her breast, and there was a mouse noise, a mouse squeak. It's like, hey, they're in a basement, mouse squeak.
Perhaps it just ran out of her armpit and down into the basement to find some grub that Ketchum's left lying around the place. Yeah, there wasn't. It didn't feel like the. While it was a lot of fun, and I did genuinely enjoy the film, I'm more likely to put Sorority House Massacre 2 back in than I am this one. Why do you think that was? Because this one certainly ramped everything up to 11 and then some. So what was it that was just slightly more enjoyable about Sorority Massacre 2? Although they are both enjoyable, fun B-flicks.
Well, I think Sorority House, I think the setting helps. It's a little more believable than the scenario. I mean, let's just say the scenario, like you said it earlier, they just had a location that they could use for Hard to Die.
Right.
So they just made it fit. And I think they, as far as set dressing and such, they made a decent go at it. I believe they were in a basement. I believe that was a lingerie store, but the elevators look like they're made out of paper mache.
Right. It was a lingerie store on the 11th floor of an office building.
Exactly.
Right? Which was also above a gun shop, which also was... I mean, because it didn't look like a mall, so I didn't know whether these things were like head offices. Were they meant to be like head offices and then the shop outlet would be somewhere else? I don't know. Or am I looking too deeply into it?
Yeah, it didn't strike me as a storefront or anything.
Right.
But, they made a decent go at it. But just being so... I mean, me personally, I'm very familiar with Sorority House Massacre 2. I've seen it dozens of times. So this felt a little tired. Took much longer to actually, get into the actual killing part, Yeah. And where it seems like Sorority House, they showed their tits and got on with it, grabbed the Ouija board, Yeah. And everything started happening, and it's just a more natural, believable setting, and more just aligned with the slasher or VHS horror film, mold, whereas this is kind of a die-hard spoof posing as a slasher possession flick, I guess.
Sure. No, I mean, this one was just... You remember this film we made that you enjoyed? Here it is again. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
And it's as enjoyable because there's more stuff in it and whatever. But there was just something about it. I agree with you. I think that because while I did enjoy it, the one bit that kind of it was funny, but then it became grating was the fact that I think in Sorority House Massacre 2, the idea that Orville Ketchum could be the killer or was just a big red herring was better done because he didn't have time at any point to kind of be like, wait a minute, I'm trying to help, before they stabbed him or screamed or whatever. And it's a really good idea. If you've seen enough slasher movies, it's actually a really good idea to have like someone who's trying to help, but who, if you were in that mad panic, because there was a guy going around macheting people to death or whatever in, a holiday camp or whatever, you might be like, well, okay, everybody who I don't know is a potential killer, so therefore I'm just going to be hysterical about it, It's
kind of like the urban legend of the creepy gas station attendant who was just trying to warn of the killer in the back seat.
Yeah, exactly. And so... that's a good idea. I found like that idea worked better in Sorority House Massacre 2 than it did here because there were so many shots of him, stumbling for a long period of time where he could just sort of say, I'm trying to help, please don't kill me.
before they then, like, pushed him off the roof, shot at him, stabbed him with something, knocked him down, whatever.
And he gives great face in this, but at the end of the day, there was too much face time for Ketchum.
Do you think if we'd seen this one first, we'd be saying it was better than the other one? Do you think it's to do
we might be viewing them on more equal status.
Right.
Yeah, but it's hard to. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. It's hard to find, and it's hard to die.
but you're relatively fresh to Sorority House Massacre too, right?
Sure. Yeah, I've just seen it once or twice. Yeah.
You're not vested, so yeah. I mean, you've got a pretty recent viewing of. Or discovery of both of these, and
right, maybe too recent, and maybe that was why. I mean, I liked this one. I thought it was funny. I thought it was well done. I didn't find it there weren't as many scares. Not that there was a huge amount of scares in Sorority House Massacre 2, but it was fairly decently done.
Would you still rank it over Slumber Party 1 or Sorority House 1?
Which, Hard to Die?
Yeah.
It would be everything is over Sorority House Massacre 1. That's one of the worst. I couldn't even,
even with the bouffant considered.
Even with the dime store Elvis bouffant. Yeah, even with that. No, I mean I couldn't make. I kept falling asleep in that film, and any film that puts me to sleep like that, that's not a good sign. So no, I would put this above. Sorority House Massacre 1 and below Slumber Party Massacre 1. Because if you remember, I kind of thought that was a pretty decent slasher flick for what it was.
Yeah, I would definitely place this one last in the series. But at
last
the same
in the
time,
series of all of them?
All of them, yeah. But it's still very watchable. Like, it would be nice to have in a box set with the... Sorority 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think the 3 should be released, and I would happily watch the last 2 again. I don't know that I'll ever be able to watch Sorority House Massacre 1 again. There was far too much dancing and trying on bright, flowery dresses for my liking. At least what Wynorski does, which is sheer genius, is he has them all get naked, shower, and then try on little lacy lingerie. They're not like ploughing through their grandmother's wardrobe. Trying on large, shoulder-padded, flowery dresses.
But yeah, I mean, at this film's current going rate, I'm not a buyer.
No, I think this needs a re-release. It definitely needs a re-release. It needs, I think it deserves to be out there. Definitely, I say that.
Yes.
And I think that maybe either as a trilogy or as a Wynorski box set or something. There needs to be more out there where you can kind of pick it up easily and enjoy it. I would, if this came out just by itself, I'd probably pay like $7.99 or $9.99 for it. No, probably no more than that, but I would put down less than a tenner for this.
Or like the other set. I mean, if they put out the 3-pack, I would pay $17.99 MSRP or whatever.
Sure, no, I would. I mean, that other set was going for like $25.99 in Barnes & Noble for the longest time, and it's a worthwhile set even at that price. Although I bought it on a sale, I think. But
actually, since we've recorded that last show, I picked up a 2-pack from. It was through Amazon, but it was through the original film Concord. I want to say.
Sure, Concord Pictures, yeah.
Yeah, they're releasing it directly through Amazon, and the 2-pack, I mean, it was maybe $14, $15 shipped. So
what was that for?
Sorority 1 and 2.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, they're doing a 2-pack of that. Okay.
Right.
Because that was, I think that was Corman's. That's Corman's company as well. Concord.
I believe so. Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, look. If you come across, I would say to the listeners, if you come across this, or if you have a friend who has it on VHS, or, if you come across a DVD of this at a convention or something like that, I would say pick it up. If you're a fan of the series so far, it's worth seeing. It's a good laugh. Orville gives good face.
I would take it one step further. I would say if you're a fan of these films, you should definitely track it down and see it once, but I would definitely preview before any ridiculous purchase. Make sure you like it enough, you know.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, I would never. I mean, I wouldn't for any movie. I don't care if it was sort of, you know, a rare cut of some movie that I hold really dear. I couldn't shell out $100 for anything. I mean, I'm a collector, but I can never get that obsessed by it, you know what I mean? Here's the cut of Evil Dead 2 where you can see Jake sneezing in the background or something, you know? Like, I don't give a shit. You know, here's 30 seconds we didn't include that we released only on one Laserdisc edition from, you know, 1989 or something. You know, whatever it is. I'm not like that, and that's just me. There's something in me that's like, sure, I'll pay $20 if you release a special edition, but that's, you know, that's right. Kind of where I'm at, you know. I mean, I coughed up. I was listening to your show today. I'm going to write you an email, but I was listening to your show today about the Document of the Dead. I shelled out for that because I figured that was a worthwhile purchase. But
it was, even though it included that shitty DVD with it.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I needed more coasters, so. So that was Hard to Die, and after the break we'll come back to Chopping Mall. Peace!
This is Jason Statham, and when I'm running around trying to build my adrenaline up, I listen to Dr. Action in the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast.
Hello, I'm Michael Winner, and yes, I may be dead, but in heaven I'm still listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries, my dear.
This is Nick Naughty. And when I'm taking cough medicine, I'm listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast.
Y'all, Schwarzenegger here. When I'm done with the maid, I'm listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries.
Hi, doing? This is Gary Daniels. And when I'm flicking through Bat Weekly, I'm listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast on my iPod or other such MP3 devices.
Wow, when I'm tap dancing to elevators and doing something crazy like cooking artichokes, I'm listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries.
When I'm not entering an arm wrestling competition, I'm listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries.
Hi, I am Jean-Claude Van Damme, and when I am cuddling the puppies, I am listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries. I'm Al Pacino, and the one fucking thing I'm gonna tell you is that it's not a fugazi. Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries, not a fugazi.
Hello there, this is James Hong, and I listen to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast. I was put on this earth to get it. Hi, this is Clint Eastwood, and I usually spend my time listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast. You can download us from iTunes or on TalkShoe. Do it. Go ahead. Make my day. Yes, hello. This is Sean Connery, and I've retired now. That gives me extra time to listen to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast.
And I'm Roger Moore, and when I'm done bedding 3 ladies at once, I like to relax with Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries.
Hello, this is Morrissey, and I like to listen to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentary Podcast. It makes me go, it's the eye of the tiger, it's the head of the eye.
Hi, I'm Steven Seagal. That's right, Steven Seagal. And when I'm done eating my breakfast of several large porks glazed with honey, I like to listen to Dr. Action and Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries. I've been doing it for 40 years now, and it makes me laugh in your face. You know what I like, China? After I've done listening to Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid Commentaries, I like to go and discuss it over a beer.
Attention podcast shoppers. If you have a sweet tooth, we have a special treat for you. If you download an episode of Profondo Cinema in the next half hour, we'll give you a bag of audio ear candy free to take home to the kiddies or enjoy yourself. So, hurry and download an episode at
profondo-cinema.blogspot.com.
Whenever you rent or buy a video, you need to be sure that the film you choose is suitable for the audience at home. To help you, there are certificates given to films which tell you broadly what the film is like. This film has been classified 18, which means it's for adults only. It's an offence for your shop to supply an 18 video to anyone under that age, so don't ask them to break the law. An 18 film will certainly have an adult theme and might well contain strong scenes of sex or violence, which could be quite graphic. It may also contain some very explicit language, which will frequently mean sexual swear words. Video certificates are there to give you the chance to make an informed choice. They allow you to have peace of mind and be entertained. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the film.
They broke into the mall for the wildest all-night party of their lives.
It's dead meat.
But you're never alone. In the chopping mall.
What's that?
Robot blood. Chopping mall. Where shopping costs you an arm and a leg.
Okay, so we're back in the diner, and to 1986 now. We're going back in time 4 years to Jim Wynorski's second film, which is the now famous cult hit Chopping Mall, which is definitely a full-fledged Roger Corman film, right down to the obligatory Dick Miller cameo.
Actually, during the break, I went and grabbed the horror collection pack.
Mm-hmm.
It comes with Chopping Mall, Slaughter High. Have you ever seen Slaughter High? That's a great one.
Yeah, I haven't dipped into that as much as I should have done. I really just bought it and watched Chopping Mall for this show, and I'll get to the rest later.
Okay, yeah. Well, so this is the set you have.
Yes, this is the set I have. Yeah.
Okay, was it class of 1999?
Oh no, I have seen that, but I saw that before. I saw that way before.
Chud 2, which I think was the big deal on this pack. Chud 2 was the one that people had been waiting for, and I think also 976 Evil 2 was the other one that hadn't been on DVD or something like that.
Which is another Wynorski film.
Right. Ghoulies 3, which is strange because he did Ghoulies 4, but they put 3 on this one, and Waxwork and Unholy. And I've got Waxwork in a different set, in the Waxwork set.
Yeah, I've got Waxwork 1 and 2, just because it was cheaper than buying Waxwork 2 by itself.
And I've got Slaughter High in a different set, or in a single form, and I have the single release of Chopping Mall that I blind bought, I think, in the early 2000s, just to see what all the fuss was about.
Yeah,
like I said, I'd seen the title on the video shelf for years. It's always one of those you'd see it, you'd chuckle, you'd never rent it. But I didn't title I knew about, probably ever since it came out, but I don't think I saw it until, my adulthood. So
right. I mean, it didn't come across. I may have seen it back in my sort of video shop days. I mean, I saw a lot of these things, Sleepaway Camp 2 and a lot of this sort of stuff hanging around.
It's a good comparison.
Well, no, I only say that because I remember the poster of Sleepaway Camp 2 because it had, I think in the UK it was called something like Nightmare Vacation or something.
Okay.
Maybe it's Sleepaway Camp 3, but it had the girl with a Freddy face next to her and a Jason face next to her, and the girl in the middle. And in fact, I think it's Sleepaway Camp 2 or 3 there is a video release of it where there is the woman Angela with the backpack on, and then the Freddy glove hanging out the backpack.
Right, and I think a chainsaw and
yeah. So I think
machete.
I remember some of these posters from back in the day, most definitely, but I can't say that I ever picked this one up. This was definitely a more recent watch for me. And, you know, the draw was initially, when I first picked up the set, the draw was, you know, the wonderful Barbara Crampton, who I'm obviously an enormous fan of, not just because she granted me an amazing interview for my show, but because I think she's, you know, her name deserves to be mentioned along with, like, the B-movie icons of the 80s video market, and isn't mentioned enough, you know. But now, since watching Sorority House Massacre 2 with you and really digging on the Wynorski vibe, you know, the second big draw was obviously Jim as the director. And it was only after watching it, because I didn't really look into it at all, I just sat down to watch it knowing that Barbara was in it and Jim had directed it, that I was suddenly like, okay, wait a minute, there's Paul Bartel. Okay, wait a minute, there's Dick Miller. This has got to be a Corman film. And it was only after that I went back, watched Corman's World, and looked up Popatopoulos and realised that, yes, in fact, a lot of Wynorski stuff. So I kind of came to it all mashed up. I kind of picked bits and bobs from here and there and put it all together into one thing. That was, you know, and then did a bit of research before I interviewed Jim and stuff like that. So that's how I came to it. Very round the houses. It wasn't one from my video days.
I think what finally sold me on The Blind Buy was just the fact that it takes place in a mall, and I've got a soft spot for that. You know, I love Dawn of the Dead, and actually this takes place at I would say probably the most famous of malls in cinema, the Sherman Oaks Gallery.
Right.
And there was Inner Space was filmed there, Commando, Terminator 2, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, just some huge mall movies.
Yeah.
I think Night of the Comet was there.
Well, the Ridgemont High is probably the sort of closest comparison, just because of the kids being of a sort of similar age, and Barbara and her friend working in the pizza place, and
the mall being, you know, still kind of a new thing, and just being established as the hip thing, and it was just culturally, it was invading our films, you know. But that was a big time mall picture, as well as the entire running time takes place inside the mall.
Yeah. Well, they filmed entirely, obviously, at night, much in the same way that Dawn did.
But the mall is easily identifiable in films by the elevators. The kind of centrally located elevators with kind of like a pseudo futuristic look, kind of like a RoboCop look to it, and
which come to play big time in this movie, of course, because of they're always like leaping all over them, and they set that bomb up on top of one of them, and I mean they really like went to, considering, you know, the budget and the timing they had, they really went to town in the mall and sort of really did, you know, push the boat out and do what they could, you know, in terms of effects and things.
This being a low budget film, you know they had to have gotten a hold of the mall for pretty damn cheap, and it's just such an expansive, amazing, colorful, wild set that you get so much bang for the buck.
Yeah, I mean there was a couple of things. I think the paint shop that they blow up at the end was a set, because you can't really do that in a mall.
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of other stuff they do in the mall, like the shooting down of the glass at the front of the store, and you know a ton of other stuff that adds production value to the film that really, and that's what was great to some extent about the VHS era, is this stuff would come out side by side. I've said it on other shows, but it would come out side by side with, you know, whatever the Hollywood title of the week was. And really, because, you know, they stretched their budget dollar and they made it look pretty damn good, you wouldn't, as an untrained observer, you wouldn't know the difference, you know what I mean, between this and whatever was made in Hollywood, especially if you sort of watched a lot of videos and you saw people like Dick Miller and Barbara Crampton and people like that crop up in the movie. You'd be like, oh, it's another one of those films, you know what I mean? Like, it's not, you know, I don't think it looks particularly low budget, other than with hindsight. I don't think at the time it probably did.
Well, the thing making it look the most low budget is the poor transfer on the DVD. It's a full screen kind of just. Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I've never cracked this 8-pack. Have they done a widescreen version?
I don't think so. I don't think so. No. I don't remember it. I mean, I don't pay attention to ratios the same way you do, and I don't remember any black bars or anything.
I more important than the ratio would be the remaster, because this looks, I've seen VHS transfers done in my home come out clearer than this. So
it's a clear transfer. I mean, it looks like the Slumber Party movies we watched. It's that kind of quality. It's not, but
it seems like something
DVD quality. But
it seems like something that could be cleaned up and tossed on, a widescreen 16:9 DVD at least, and looking tight.
I think I come across this quite a lot, and a lot of people say it's personal taste or whatever, but. The trouble with all the new formats coming in, and then, even those new formats becoming obsolete so quickly, is that, there isn't a chance for these films that, okay, they might not be a studio's #1 priority. In fact, I don't think studios give a shit about what they release on DVD at all. But, like you say, some of these beloved films that people are going to want to watch 50 years from now, our kids are going to want to watch them, and then hopefully their kids are going to want to watch them. These cult movies that at this moment in time, are big news to a lot of people on the internet. People are going to at least want to watch them for another generation, at least, if not 2 more generations. It would be great to have some of these movies just in really good quality, really good nick. Just do a couple of them up, Obviously, the cost doesn't add up, because I doubt that enough people would go out and buy it. Although you saw the craziness that went over that 8-pack. People are like, oh my God, right. Chud 2, oh my God, Chopping Mall, oh my God, I'll pay $40 for this, People kind of went, you know what I mean, though? People kind of, oh my God, extra on DVD, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. People want a copy of it. And I don't see why shit just isn't made available. I don't know why there aren't the entrepreneurs like there were in the 80s who were distributing VHS left, right, and center. I don't know.
Considering this has already made its way to a $5 8-pack,
sure.
Chances of a remaster, re-release are nil, I'm sure.
No, on this one in particular, but I mean, I don't know why other distribution companies, or why there isn't some entrepreneuring distribution company, considering how cheap DVDs are to make, and considering a lot of these stuff that was, because there's something like 50%, a documentary was saying, there's like 50% of stuff that was released on VHS is yet to get a DVD release. And there are some companies doing it. I just picked up a box set of mercenary movies that were made in the 80s with Richard Harrison and stuff for $10 for 12 movies or whatever. There are some companies out there, but they're not, they really are just slapping them from VHS onto DVD, which I'll take over nothing, but it would be good to have something out there. But anyway, let's get on to the movie. So kids are planning a party in the mall after hours. And at the same time, what else is happening, Axel? Do you want to run it down?
Well, yes, they've introduced some new security measures at the mall. A set of steel, clawed doors. I mean, these are jagged doors that if they closed on you, they would tear you in half.
Yeah.
And as well as three security robots that look kind of like a cross between RoboCop and Johnny Five from Short Circuit.
I was going to say Johnny Five. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that.
Fuck, stealing your thunder. I'm sorry.
No. I was going to say, I'm glad you said it. That's awesome you said it, because I was thinking exactly the same thing. Yeah.
And, of course, all phasers are only set to stun. These things cannot possibly harm human beings. Now, can they?
No.
But we, the night of the party that the youngsters are planning, they're going to stay overnight in the I guess the bedding store that the 4 guys work at.
Yeah, the hunks of this film.
It just so happens to be on the debut, the Virgin Evening, the debut of the Killbots, if you will.
Who have all been parked on the top floor for the afternoon just in time to soak up a freak lightning storm that happens to hit the mall.
Okay, here's what I don't understand about the robots. Like, 1 second, they've got these lasers that are having trouble penetrating panties. And then the next second, they're exploding heads, you know? What?
When were they trying to penetrate pants and didn't get through? When did that happen?
There's the one point where the woman that gets her head blown off.
Right.
She's running down the mall hallway, and she's got the little Playboy bunny on her rear end.
Sure, right, yeah.
And one of the lasers tags her right in the Playboy bunny. But it doesn't, just zaps her. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it was on, like, Scorch or something, and then it changed it to Kill. I don't know. Yeah. I like the way that each one had a different color light laser so that we knew which one was. There was a pink one and a blue one, and I think maybe a yellow or green one. I don't know. And I also like the fact that do you think that they were built with a with the laser capability, or do you think that?
Well, yeah, it was in the demo video at the very beginning.
So, why would you do that? What benefit would there be to you to have that in your mall?
Hey, what a great freaking headshot, though! It was seamless.
The explosion was really well done. Phenomenally well done.
It was seamless. It was. It reminded me. Do you remember in Planet Terror when the guy with the ponytail got his head blown off towards the end?
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that, but I think Chopping Mall did it better.
Yeah, Chopping Mall's head explosion is legitimately. I mean, it's not frightening particularly, but it's legitimately awe-inspiring. It's well done.
It's right up there with Wooly from Dawn of the Dead.
Tom Savini in Maniac. That's another good head explosion.
Yeah, you're right. That's not bad. The Scanners.
Right, that's the famous one.
Uh-huh. And I'd say this one is right up there.
Sure. Well, I didn't see it coming at all. I thought she was just going to kind of painfully die on the floor.
Well, yeah, because it was just having trouble penetrating her undies, and all of a sudden, boom.
Now, what did you think of the fact that once the kids get into the furniture store and you've got the 3 frisky ones who have all had sex before and all have a regular date, and then you've got the 2 ones who are getting to know each other on the couch watching old 50s B-movies, I think one of which is like a very early Corman film, an early black and white Corman movie. But didn't you like the way that Jim made sure that the camera gets at least a minute with each one, long enough for the women to bare their breasts, and then once the woman has bared her breasts, kissed her man, and the man's got some grab ass, the camera then happily hovers over to the next bed where the next couple oblige, and then when that's happened, it hovers over to the last bed, and we get the couple who are meant to be like the most frequently shagging, let's say, the most frisky, and yet all she seems to do is complain and want shit from the vending machine.
You mentioned Barbara Crampton of Stuart Gordon
fame.
Yeah. The 2 that were watching the sci-fi, the girl is Kelly Maroney.
Kelly Maroney, yeah.
From Night of the Comet, which was also had a scene shot in this mall.
Was like, I can never get out of this mall.
Yeah. Also, real quick, another film that was shot in this mall was Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, which features Kenny Foray.
Nice.
As well as Tom Fridley from Friday 6 and Summer Camp Nightmare. Good times.
Very good times.
Got the VHS of that one. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind
she
of a
also
sucker
goes
for,
on to work with Jim Wynorski in Big Bad Mama 2, Not of This Earth, and Hard to Die. She plays the French porno actress.
That's what I thought that was her, but we didn't mention it. At the end of Hard to Die, they had the full screen pauses on the character faces, the title cards or whatever. And I was looking for Kelly Maroney's and I didn't see it, so I was guessing she didn't want to be mentioned in the. But yeah, I thought that was her. That I just kind of blew it off after I didn't see her at the end. I was like, whatever. But yeah, I thought that was her.
She's our final girl for Chopping Mall.
Yes. Well, they're the final couple.
Right.
The
final couple.
Innocents.
Yeah. But everyone, Barbara, I think, gets the most. She gets the most obviously obligatory breast shot in this film because she's taking off her clothes in front of her boyfriend who's lying down on the sofa. She turns around for really no reason other than the camera's there, removes her bra obligingly, and then gets back on top of the man. Which was so... I was... Because obviously you'd seen one shot where this other couple had already done it. And then I was like hovering over to Barbara and I was like, you know what? Barbara's not been shy or afraid to do such things in other films. I'm sure it'll happen. And then bingo, not only that, but Jim has her turn around, face the camera, make sure we get it. And then the camera just obligingly hovers off to the next couple.
You know, the only thing that would have made that scene more classy is if they'd had her roll down her panties just a little bit.
Just a little, not too much. And if as she'd done
mid-hip.
If as she'd done so, it had gone like that. That would have just missed a beat there. I think as this was his second film, he probably wasn't quite there just yet.
Also, as the married couple, the guy who played Rick, Russell Todd,
yes,
he was in Friday the 13th Part 2. He played the guy who was peeping on the girl down at the lake who was skinny dipping,
right?
And he's the one. He ends up in the I guess the little trap where he's hanging upside down. And Jason cuts his throat.
Oh, right, yeah, I remember now. Yeah. He's also shows up in He Knows You're Alone, another early horror movie.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, he obviously did a bit of horror when he started out, but I think he was in a TV series called Throb, which clearly was not a high point. But yeah, I mean, looking at his career, I mean, Another World, was that a big show?
Or was it A Different World or Another World?
Look at that. He was on The Bold and the Beautiful, which I believe...
Oh, that's a soap opera, Another World. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was on The Bold and the Beautiful, which I believe Barbara Crampton was on as well. I mean, he was only in one episode. I'm not going to scroll through. I'm not going to scroll through all these names because there's 100 fucking names. I mean, you know what soap operas are like. People come and go.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's got a good cast. The cast is strong, I thought. They all play their roles well, I thought.
They're solid, yeah. No, they're...
I like Dick Miller as the bitching cleaning man. I liked him a lot.
I recognized the guy in the security booth, too, from some slapstick comedies, but I couldn't quite place him.
Right. But no, I liked the whole cast. I was sad to see all of them go. There wasn't one who I was like, yeah, he needs to die right now, which tends to be, like, watching a modern slasher film, that tends to be the overriding thought, is like, oh, fuck, when are these people going to get killed horribly, you know?
I have to stop the show. I'm sorry. I forgot. I have a rendition, a vocal rendition that I want to share with you and your listeners.
Please, the floor is yours, sir, as they say.
I'm going to... do a segment from the score of Chopping Mall
okay.
vocally. And it's very much, it's very similar to a lot of the Wynorski scores. So here it goes.
Nice. And that was Chopping Mall score by Axel K.
But I mean, seriously, I mean, that's the entire score.
It was good though. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good little synth score. I mean, I know what you mean. That by the time
it's kind of double fisting it, you know.
Sure. But what was what was your whole feeling on lightning being the cause of their malfunction?
Well, clearly that was a nod to Bride of Frankenstein. So
right, okay.
And actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that lightning shot was borrowed from a 1960s Corman flick or something. Of course, as you know, there's a fully stocked gun shop in this mall as well. So we wasted. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's a fully stocked gun shop and hardware store that helps our people attempt to escape, but not really.
Yeah, they tried to kill the robots through a series of gags, and I liked the elevator gag and I think it was the guy from Friday 2 that got thrown off the balcony there.
The top level, yeah. Yeah. Well, there was that awesome stunt where someone was hanging from one of the women was hanging from the top, the top of the mall there, and I thought that was really well done.
But outside of the head explosion, there was no key kills really, or good gore moments, you know.
No, I'm just trying to think, because there's the one guy who gets killed over by the vending machines.
Yeah, and he ends up getting kind of like his throat slit, but that was kind of off screen.
Off screen. But you saw the aftermath of it. I mean, what gore there is done well.
Yeah.
I mean, Barbara just kind of gets tagged in the back by a laser, doesn't she? Mm-hmm. A couple of times. Again,
I think two of the women go down like that. And,
again, her legs don't blow off or anything. It just fires. I mean, look, I have to say that there is an exploding head in this film at all is pretty amazing. So I'm not criticizing that limbs weren't flying everywhere, but I agree what you're saying. I know what you mean, that there weren't, and maybe that was a rating decision. I don't know. Maybe they were just like, well, we've got the exploding head, let's not try and push it. Or maybe it was a budget thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, like you said, it's gained a cult audience. It's an out there title. It's known about, and
I think rightfully so. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's got all the elements. Like you say, it's got the setting of Fast Times of Ridgemont High. It's got the short circuit stroke Terminator-like robots. It's got, the slasher horror cliches of all the couples and, the couple that don't have sex survive kind of thing.
It's got the double-fisted synth score.
Right. It's got a decent enough double-fisted synth score. It's got... And how does that go again, Axel?
Pop, pop, pop.
He's just got it on like a Casio trumpet sound or something, right? That's what it is. It's like some tinny. But no, I really enjoyed that. It's got. I look at it as like if you want to throw a bunch of 80s things into a film and have it epitomized in a horror movie, this is kind of it. Because it's kind of got a lot of touchstones that are familiar, welcome, and well done. That's how I would say it.
Yeah, and we were just getting into that fear of technology area. What year was this?
86.
6, yeah. So it was just post Terminator. I think RoboCop might have came out the same year.
RoboCop was 87.
87.
Yeah, because I just did it on the show a couple of weeks back by the time this one airs. But yeah, RoboCop was 87.
Yeah, it was definitely a product of its time.
So this actually predates RoboCop, which is interesting. Because
That's crazy.
It's got... RoboCop has similar elements when it comes to like machinery and technology having way too much firepower than it needs.
Right.
Although at least in that film, they're deploying them on the streets of a crime-ravaged city and not just your mom and pop shopping mall.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't enjoy this film a lot. It's got some charm in spots, and it's one that has definitely earned a place on the shelf. I like having it there when I get the urge, but it's definitely I don't think I could recommend it.
Really?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. That's unusual because I mean, I would say I would definitely recommend it. I think it gets in and gets out. It's it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's got your cameos from your Corman lot. It's got Barbara Crampton. It's got a strong cast around them. The effects, while maybe slightly hokey to some, I thought, considering the budget and considering the year, fine. It's got a good head explosion, and and breasts. I don't really know. Yeah. To me, it has all the elements, and it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it doesn't push those elements into repetitive territory. It's just gets in, gets out. It's robots malfunctioning in a mall. It does what it says on the tin, and I personally really enjoy that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It does. It doesn't false advertise. It delivers on what it was trying to be. And yeah, I think all the things you mentioned add up to it earning its place on the shelf. The Maroney and Crampton, hell, even the guy from Friday 2. I just don't. I just can't say that I overly enjoyed it. And when I say that it would be a tough recommend, I just wouldn't put myself out there and just say, you've got to see this. And, when it comes to me trying to recommend something to my co-host, Jay Scott, there's just no way in hell I would never send him this ever, so that's.
I think Jay Scott would love this movie. I think it's right up his street. He could, I think Jay Scott would get a kick out of this, seriously. But you would, way better than I do. So you would recommend Hard to Die over this?
No, I wouldn't.
Oh, okay.
It's also got something original to offer. It's got got the mall setting. It's its own thing. There's not another film in existence. It's not biting on anything. It's its own creative force, if you will.
Okay.
But I would, I'd definitely recommend Sorority House Massacre 2 over the two of these.
So that's still coming out on top as your favorite Wynorski picture, then?
So far.
Okay. I would put this top of my list of Wynorski films that we've covered so far. Sorority House Massacre 2 next, and then Hard to Die. And I would recommend all of them at least once, just for the fun of it, just for the fact that there isn't that sense of everything has to be done like seriously and justified and have motives and all the rest of it. Even in the biggest hogwash movies these days, they still have like that scene where we've got to crowbar in something that makes this desperately serious and important, even when it's like robots hitting each other or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm just like, there was a time where people, not to say there isn't character development in this, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there was a time where all that was treated a bit more, we can have fun with this, you know what I mean? These people can have like little fun outings and we can do little fun things with them and little fun moments. And I personally, because I guess I didn't, I was growing up in the 80s, but I didn't get into my video watching until really the 90s. So I imagine someone who maybe watched more stuff in the 80s than me might be tired by something like this by now. But personally, I'm still having fun watching these movies where people are a bit more goofy and a bit more game for something that's a bit left field and a bit fun and a bit weird and a bit wonderful and a bit, just a creative collage of stuff as opposed to just this is our hero and this is what he has to do and he has to be serious and he has to have, mummy issues and, whatever bullshit they have now. I like watching these movies from back in the day when, you know what I mean? No, it's fine. These kids are going to have a party in the mall. And yes, the mall has just installed this insane security device and, that's your premise. Have at it.
You know what? I think I enjoyed the first part of the film the most. It was once we got into the stalk and slash with the robots, that's where I got a little tired of let's go here and do this, and then we'll try this new tactic. Oh, somebody got shot in the back with a laser. I think it was like the first 30 minutes where there was the getting to know yous and the 80s cliches and, the mall scenes. And that was probably the strong point of the film to me.
That's just the bit you were digging on?
The cultural reference, and then to have especially Kelly Maroney, because she, is just kind of a teeny bopper kind of typecast character. But yeah, I think I enjoyed the setup the most. Just existing in that world for a little while. It was kind of fun, but yeah, I thought the stalk and slash got a little tired. Because honestly, the best kill was right up front. You got the head explosion, and then they didn't deliver on the rest of that promise.
Sure.
I mean, we're thinking these killer robots. I mean, yeah, like you were saying earlier, or were alluding to, if they've got those kind of powers, yeah, legs should be blown off. Limbs should be flying.
Yeah.
So.
Would you be interested in dipping into any further Wynorski films?
Yeah, I would. I think it was The Not of This Earth. I wouldn't mind checking out.
We could do Not of the Earth. We could do Return of Swamp Thing. I own Big Bad Mama 2 and 976 Evil 2.
Yeah, I've got those as well. I've got the 976 Evil 2 anyway.
I'd really dig on seeing, because I saw lots of clips of it in Popatopolis, but I'd really dig on seeing The Lost Empire. I'd really like to see that. That was his first film where he basically said, if this is the only film I ever make, I'm going to grab everything but the kitchen sink and throw it at this beauty. So it's a complete mad film, but apparently it's a lot of, it from the clips they show in that documentary, it looks like good fun,
You got to pick up the Friday series eventually with me too. That maybe if there's a Friday the 13th around the corner or something.
Well, didn't you say it's in June or July or something?
Okay, yeah, probably so. There's a Friday the 13th in September.
That's the next one?
Yeah.
I guess that's when we'll come back and do the next one then. Did you know that there was a Forest of the Living Dead with Michael Madsen in it?
That cannot be any good.
No. The subtitle is The Bottom of the Barrel Has Been Well and Truly Scraped. That's the... Oh, there's a Night of the Living... Okay, so wait a minute. There's this one. What is this one? Bride of Reanimator, Beyond Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead 3, Return of the Living Dead Necropolis, Return of the Living Dead Rave to the Grave.
Nice.
Jesus Christ. And Night of the Living Dead 3D with Sid Haig in it.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that too.
Oh, Jesus.
Terrible.
Haig. What have you done with your career? It's too much working with Rob Zombie. You've got his stinky stink all over him. The moment you work with Zombie, you can't. That's it. You're done.
You're not at all intrigued by Lords of Salem?
Dude, I was. I'd like to bring that up very briefly, and then I've got to call it a night. But the
okay.
I was on board for Lords of Salem. I need to preface this. I always thought, because Rob Zombie was churning out original content, although heavily inspired, obviously, by the 70s grungy horrors, but original nonetheless. I always thought, you know what? I don't particularly like the movies, but fair play to him. He's putting his hat in the ring and making some decent throwback grindhousey kind of horror movies. And he's getting these old guys to be back in it again and stuff like that. Fair play. Then he did Halloween 1 and 2, and I was like, fuck him. I know you don't care for the Halloween series anymore, but really, for me, that's second only to remaking The Evil Dead, and the original crew have just come back and remade The Evil Dead, so don't even get me started on that. But then he announced Lords of Salem, and then I saw that he'd cast Barbara Crampton, and it was going to be her big comeback movie along with You're Next, which is another indie horror movie that's coming out from Lionsgate this year. And I thought to myself, you know what? And Ken Foray is in it as well, and a bunch of others. And I was like, you know what? Okay, I could possibly at this point get on board with another zombie picture at this moment. Then he cut Barbara Crampton out of the movie, and I was like, right, that's it, done. I'm done. I can't get on board with Lords of Salem for that reason only.
Well, you know what? Love him or hate him, and this is probably the best thing you could say about him. It's one thing's for sure. He damn sure does it his way. Nobody else is. He is calling every effing shot on these films. Do I bring back Sid Haig for the 5th time? Of course. Do I cast my wife in the lead role? Of course. Do I say fuck every other word? I mean, you know, he just does it exactly the way he wants it. He does not. I don't know if he cares what critics say or not, but he's certainly not responding to them. But I love his first couple of flicks, Corpses and Rejects, and for different reasons. I've kind of warmed up to the Halloween films a little bit, and by warm up, I mean I don't, absolutely abhor them anymore.
By warm up, I mean I don't like them, but
yeah, exactly. But I'd just say they're a touch more acceptable to me, and I've come around a little more to the second one. But no, I'm looking forward to Lords of Salem. It just looks like he's back to creating original material.
Sure.
And I think he's a true artist. He in the real sense of the word, multi-talented, and like I said, does it his way. And now that he's not attached to a franchise, essentially, he's done 4 films, but it's really 2 franchises.
Right.
So yeah, I'm interested, but yeah, this is he could just as easily go bust. At the same time, I don't have a lot of confidence in him, but just judging by these previews, it looks very interesting. And 4A as a Afro, sideburn sporting DJ, man, I'm all for that.
Where do you put him against someone like a Rodriguez, another one who does it all himself?
I don't think he certainly doesn't have the polish of a Rodriguez, but they have a lot of the same sensibilities. They're all kind of they operate in that kind of Tarantino trying to shock you zone a little bit, but I'd say both Zombie kind of leans more of an Oliver Stone way, where Rodriguez is just a more polished kind of comic book flavor, but they're similar. They're comparable. I don't think the material is, Rob Zombie has, such a limited filmography where Rodriguez is all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always compared Rob Zombie's pretty close to, he's kind of somewhere between Tobe Hooper and Oliver Stone to me.
Right. That's fair.
But yeah, he's just interesting, and they're not all winners. But my favorite director is George Romero, and most of his films are turds.
It always amazes me that you guys don't like half his filmography. That always amazes me because you're so passionate about the rest of it.
But at the same time, then you go and review a John A. Russo film, and John A. Russo's best doesn't even touch George A. Romero's worst.
Right. I mean, I'm one of the few people out there who like the dark half and stuff. So I mean, I like all sorts of things that Romero's done. But I just have a different sensibility. I'm still waiting for someone. I'm still waiting for a director to come out where I go watch a movie and it hits me on the level of a Carpenter or an early Raimi or a Romero or someone or a Gilliam or some. I'm just, there are directors who come along. I thought I reviewed it recently, but I saw what was it called? District 9 again recently, and that is a fucking perfect movie. That hit me on the level of a Carpenter or whatever. So I can't wait for the follow up to that. But that dude Blumenkamp, whatever his name, he needs to be churning out he needs to be doing one every fucking year, not 6 years or whatever it'll be between films. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if he's done any others. I should really look that up. But really, you know, I want to see it bang, 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 bang. I mean, you think of Carpenter in his heyday, you know, he was just knocking them out. And I want that. I don't want to kind of have to wait for my fix.
Are you not into, do you not like Christopher Nolan or...
I like some of what Nolan's done, but I'm not a huge fan of his. Yeah, so he's done nothing since District 9, and he's got 2 coming up. So District 9 was 4 years ago. And, you know, it's a damn near perfect film, and I don't necessarily expect him to follow it up with a damn near perfect film. But, you know, I thought that he was very good, Neil Blomkamp. And...
well, nowadays it seems like not only do you have to have a capable and credible director, but the subject matter needs to lean towards your interest as well, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Nolan I like up until a point. I have issues with certain of his films just because I think they disappear up their own ass at a certain point. But
I just think his track record, you know,
the way he shoots is phenomenal. I'll be interested to see what he does without Wally Pfister, though, who has shot all of his films up until now. And Wally Pfister has decided to branch out and do his own stuff. So I'll be interested to see what a Chris Nolan movie looks like in the future without that amazing DP. But because I don't think as a script writer he's particularly strong when you break it down. Although one of my favorite movies of his, outside of all of his franchises and stuff, is Insomnia. I thought his remake of that was really good, and I thought he got a performance out of Pacino that I haven't seen Pacino give since like Donnie Brasco. So I really liked that. But you know, and I liked that one he did about the magicians. I thought that was good. Yeah,
that was great. The Prestige.
That
was a very good script, I thought.
Yeah, I liked the Insomnia, I liked the Prestige, and I liked Dark Knight, the middle one.
You didn't like Inception?
It was okay. I have no desire to ever watch it again.
Yeah, I just thought there were some just incredible action camera moments, like with the tumbling hotel.
Yes.
And you've got this camera, you know, steadily moving down a rotating hallway and then dipping into a room all in one shot, you know. And
it was tremendously filmed, and the techniques being done for real were phenomenal. But I think he needs to get a sense of humor somewhere along the line. I need my films with a little, like, pep or fizz or zip or something. I can't.
Yeah, you need less slack-jawed, odd moments with... choir voice soundtracks.
Yeah, definitely. I just need something that doesn't take itself so utterly film studenty, strokey, beardy. I need it to have, like, Gilliam always whips a bit of humor in there, or, you know, fuck, even Spielberg puts some gags in his films, you know.
I'll give you that. His films are uber serious.
It's just human beings. Everyone has a sense of humor. You know what I mean? Hitler laughed at something. So it's not like, you know, you can't say, well, I wanted to do a real human being, so therefore I made him all serious. No, real human beings, they have interactions that aren't just like either knowing winks or incredibly serious, long, expiratory dialogue that no one... When you watch the Batman films, and it's most obvious in those, nobody on Earth talks like any of the people in those films. In fact, it becomes to a point where you watch those films again, as I've gone back and watched them again on DVD, you're just like, Christ almighty, this is a load of waffle. I mean, it works most successfully in The Dark Knight, but the other two are just filled with exploratory waffle that is just... Nobody talks like that. Nobody talks in, like, pithy little, you know, quotes of the day, toilet paper type dialogue. It's just completely weird. Anyway, that for another show, maybe. Axel, I want to say a big thank you for being on the show again and coming back to the diner. And you've come back twice now. We've got to get J. Scott back on a second time.
he keeps promising he'll come back and do Wes Anderson, but we wait with bated breath. But
I'll tell
thanks.
you what, if he comes on for Wes Anderson, or if he agrees to, I'll watch the movies and come on too.
I like that idea, dude. Yes, he's already agreed. I just sent him Moonrise.
Okay.
I sent him Moonrise Kingdom recently, so
Okay.
a screener copy. So yeah, he's coming on. I think we're doing it in 2 or 3 episodes because you can't really do them all in one.
Well, I will. I'll make sure he wants me there first.
Sure. But yeah, of course. Or we'll do it as a Profondo. I don't mind. But no, I think I announced it on the Diner. So let's do it as a Diner.
No. Yeah,
but,
Diner. Diner all the way.
But thanks ever so much for coming on, Axel. That's fantastic for doing that, man. And this will go up in a few weeks' time. I don't know when, but I'll let you know when it goes up. And keep doing what you're doing over at Profondo, and pimp yourself out to us also.
You can check us out. We're at profondo-cinema.blogspot.com. You can also find us on Facebook, or the usual hangouts. We come out every couple of weeks, and give us a listen. And we've got a lot of shows about Brian Bosworth. So
yeah, take a listen.
Dig in.
Take a listen, definitely. They cover all the Romero stuff, all the Raimi stuff, all the stuff you'll love. They do it far better than I do, and they're a fantastic show. So everyone go check them out. Thanks again, Axel, for being on the show, and we'll be in touch, sir.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
From the checks on his flannel shirt to the bristle of his mustache, his goggly eyes and slack jaw mouth all again. He's a hero to the few, the ones that really knew that to try and kill him was a terrible mistake. Well, he may look like he's the killer, all menacing and backward, but he's just trying to help in his own peculiar way. Well, it wasn't him, it was Crazy Hockstetter who committed all of the murders, yet you're still trying to kill him and not let him have his say. Well, it's lucky that he finds it hard to die, hard to die, hard to die, hard to die. Well, if you ladies had succeeded, well, I think I would cry. He's just another misunderstood overweight guy. No need to keep trying to prove that although Ketchum finds it hard to die, hard to die, hard to die, hard to die. There's no need to keep trying to prove that with bullets and knives and throwing him off the roof, that although Ketchum finds it hard to die. In a sorority house or a lingerie store, no matter what you took your clothes off for, if you only realize he's the guy that you want on your side. Well, it's a Wynorski film, so you're not fully dressed, but it's your friend that Ketchum that's murderously possessed. And all of those slasher films you watched growing up, they basically lied. It's the hero, not the killer, that finds it hard to die, hard to die, hard to die, hard to die. Well, if you ladies had succeeded, well, I think I would cry. He's just another misunderstood overweight guy. No need to keep trying to prove that although Ketchum finds it hard to die, hard to die, hard to die, hard to die. No need
with bullets and knives and pushing him out the roof. But although Ketchum finds it hard to die, catch him if you can, catch him if you can. It doesn't matter what you think you want, just catch him if you can. Catch him if you can, just catch him if you can. No matter what you think you want, just catch him if you can. Just catch him if you can, just catch him if you can. It doesn't matter what you think you want, just catch him if you can. Catch him if you can, just catch him if you can. Double catch him, just catch him if you can. Just catch him if you can. Catch him if you can.
There are men, and then there are second unit podcast men. The podcast you've just been listening to is part of the Second Unit Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at 2upn.blogspot.com or on Facebook under the Second Unit Podcast Network. Our fantastic list of shows include Drunk on VHS, We Came from the Basement, No Budget Nightmares, The After Movie Diner, Dr. Action and the Kick-Ass Kid, and Bloodbaths and Boomsticks. Take one podcast into the shower. Don't be a blithering idiot, Alan. We can give you the multiple podcast cleansing system all in one place that your hair deserves. Our programming is available across all platforms from iTunes to Podomatic, TalkShoe to Stitcher, so you have absolutely no excuse. Listen today, and a free naked person of your choice will be shipped from Thailand to your door in a matter of weeks. The Second Unit Podcast Network, bringing you the action and leaving the boring stuff to the other guys. Bloody hell. Who does a girl have to blow around here to get a decent beverage?